Imagine getting struck by lightning, only for a strange soul to try and hijack your body while you are completely paralyzed. It gets worse. After devouring the invader, he unlocks a terrifying prophecy, where a legendary hero is fated to completely destroy his life. But for this incredibly greedy noble, the absolute worst part is the vision of him losing his entire fortune. So how does a money-obsessed villain survive a doomed future where the main character wants him dead? He uses his infinite mountain of gold to literally buy the hero before the story even begins. Let me show you how he changed his fate. Meet Fernan Pellenberg, the heir to the richest family in the empire and a top student at the Magic Academy. This dude basically hit the genetic and financial lottery on day one. He's got the power, the background, and enough gold raining down to make Scrooge McDuck jealous. But there's a catch. Fernan is absolutely obsessed with money. His greed is so legendary that no one in the empire can even compete. He even went on stage at a debate just to shout that nothing is more valuable than money. People started calling him a moneyhound after that. Even on an ordinary day, he's grilling his staff about the Merchant Guild's reports. The poor guy reporting looks like he's about to faint because profits were slightly down. Fernan doesn't take less profit lightly and starts tearing into anyone who doesn't meet his impossible standards. Just another Tuesday for a guy who values gold more than people. Everything seemed fine in his greedy little world, but tragedy always strikes when you're least expecting it. He's taking a walk with his assistant, wondering when his staff is going to start earning their keep. Little does he know, his life is about to change forever. It was a perfectly bright day without a single cloud in the sky. Fernan is just busy judging his employees while enjoying the weather. Suddenly, a massive bolt of lightning comes out of nowhere and strikes him dead on. Talk about a literal shock to the system. As his consciousness starts to fade, a strange soul sees an opening and tries to dive into his body. It's like a supernatural carjacking. The soul is a glowing red entity, and it's fully convinced it's about to possess Fernan and take over the driver's seat. Fernan is just floating in the void of his own mind, wondering what the hell this thing is talking about. He's not exactly thrilled about the whole possession idea. The soul realizes Fernan is resisting and lunges forward, determined to steal the body by force. This thing is acting like it owns the place. Big mistake. Fernan uses every bit of mana he has left to launch a counterattack, and the invader starts screaming in pain. The soul is easily defeated, and instead of taking over, it gets absorbed directly into Fernan's own essence. Absolute power move. The moment the absorption happens, a massive surge of foreign memories begins to flood Fernan's brain. It's a total mental overload. He's seeing a lifetime of events that haven't even happened yet. He snaps back to reality on the ground with his assistant frantically checking if he's still breathing. The smoke coming off him is a pretty bad sign. Suddenly, weird floating text appears right in front of his eyes, like a quest window from a video game just glitched into his vision. The text is a series of prophecies about the end of the world, starting with 72 demons coming to ruin everyone's day. The worst part? The prophecy says he's going to be expelled from his noble house for supposedly working with those demons. The thought of losing all his money is what actually hurts him the most. He's more upset about being broke than the world ending. Ever since that lightning strike, he's been obsessed with finding out who that soul was and why he's stuck with these terrifying memories. He's sitting in class looking like a bored model, but he's actually deep in thought, trying to solve the mystery of his own possession. The lecture ends, but he's still got zero answers about why he's seeing the future or where that red soul came from. He spends all his free time buried in books, hoping to find any lead that explains his situation, but so far, it's a total dead end. However, there is one thing that he's become absolutely certain of as the days go by. The prophecies are completely accurate. Every small event they predicted has happened exactly as described, with a 100% success rate. He's been using the info to make even more money, but he's not happy. If the prophets are real, that means his future expulsion is real too. Every day he spends at the academy is just another day closer to his inevitable fall from grace. He needs to find a way to change the script. His assistant notices he's been way more stressed than usual and asks how his lessons were. Fernan just gives him the same as always. Brush off. He's staring at a newspaper, but he isn't reading the headlines. He's looking for confirmation that the world is still on track to end. The assistant is getting really worried. Fernan has been spaced out for months and making weirdly specific financial moves. When the assistant asks if he's feeling unwell, Fernan just gives him a cold look. He's got bigger things to worry about than a checkup. The staff has noticed that for the last 6 months, the young master has been obsessing over things that have nothing to do with their business. Fernan has been making impulsive decisions that go against his usual careful planning, and every time he gambles, his money somehow doubles. The assistant actually wonders if the lightning strike messed with Fernan's brain permanently, because his strange choices look like pure luck. Fernan just smirks. Those strange choices have brought him a massive fortune because he knows exactly what's going to happen before it does. He finally sees the headline he's been waiting for. Ain't Armian has officially joined the academy. This is the catalyst for everything. He drops everything and tells his assistant he's going to the south for a bit, moving so fast he leaves a literal dust trail. The poor assistant is just left standing there holding a cup of coffee. This dude really has zero chill when it's prophecy time. He travels to Bardian, the artificial magic island where the academy is located. It's a literal paradise built with high-level spells. He heads straight for the southern wetlands on horseback. He needs to know for certain if the biggest events in the prophecy are actually going to happen. There are 3 specific futures burned into his mind that he absolutely refuses to accept without a fight. He's haunted by the vision of being expelled from his family, losing every single coin, and becoming a total outcast. He keeps telling himself it can't be real and trying to find a reason to doubt the visions, but they're too vivid to ignore. The image of himself in a dark cell, covered in filth and looking homeless, is enough to give him a heart attack. The emotional damage is real. The second prophecy is the return of the 72 demons that were summoned 1,000 years ago. The world is basically a ticking time bomb. And the third, Amian, is the main character who's supposed to save everyone from those demons. Ain't is a name everyone in the Empire knows because of his family's history, even if they've lost their influence over time. He's the descendant of the founding emperor, Carlinos Armian. His family practically built this whole empire from the ground up. But the power is gone now, and the prophecy says Ain't is going into the wetlands to find a secret map the emperor left behind. The prophecy is so detailed, it's like reading a novel. Vernon is just following the plot points like a walkthrough. If Ain't shows up and acts exactly like the memories say, then there's no more room for doubt. The prophecies are 100% real. The problem is that Ain't isn't just the hero. He's also the person directly responsible for Fernand's terrible future. In the vision, Ain't is the one standing over him, coldly handing him his expulsion papers while glowing with hero energy. Fernand is genuinely confused about why this kid ends up hating him so much. He hasn't even met the guy yet. There are still parts of the prophecy that are blurred out, so he can't see the specific reasons why their relationship goes so sour. The official reason is working with demons, but Fernand is a money man, not a cultist. That accusation makes zero sense to him. He spots Aint's horse tied up near the wetlands. Looks like the main character is already here looking for the dungeon. The prophecy says there's a legendary sword hidden here that contains the ego of the Empire's first royal knight. That's a serious power-up. If the sword is there, then Ain't really is the perfect candidate to be the world's savior. Fernand is just watching from the sidelines for now. He's tempted to just eliminate the problem now, but he knows Ain't is the only one who can stop the demons later. He's stuck helping his future enemy. Suddenly, the smell of blood hits him. He knows that scent anywhere, and it's coming from just up ahead. It all clicks. The prophecy mentioned that Ain't gets seriously injured by a monster called a croaker on his way to the dungeon. He finds the spot where the attack happened. Even a future hero can't handle an apex predator when he's just a rookie. Everything is playing out exactly like the script. Fernand arrives at the entrance of the dungeon just in time to see the aftermath. He spots Ain't leaning against a tree, looking like he's about to pass out. Time to make an entrance and play the role of the helpful senior. Ain't looks up, bleeding from his side, and is completely blindsided by Fernand showing up in the middle of nowhere. Fernand puts on his best poker face and pretends this is just a lucky coincidence, asking if he's Darmian and telling him new students aren't supposed to be out here. Ain't is surprised the famous heir to the Pellenberg family even knows who he is. Little does he know, Fernand's been studying him like a textbook. The kid is so naive, he actually asks Fernand who he is. Does this boy not read the news or look at billboards? Fernand demands a bit of respect, reminding the kid that he's a year older and a much higher rank. He's got to maintain that rich guy aura. He plays dumb and asks if Ain't got attacked by a lizard man. He's doing a great job of acting like he doesn't already know everything. Ain't explains it was a croaker, which are supposedly very rare in this area. Yeah, unlucky is one way to put it. Fernand reaches into his bag and pulls out a glowing blue bottle. This isn't just any medicine, it's top-tier stuff. He hands over a top-grade potion that's worth more than most people's entire houses. Talk about a flex. Ain't is absolutely floored. He can't believe this legendary money man is just handing out high-value loot to a stranger. He tries to explain that he doesn't have the money to pay for something that expensive, but Fernand just weighs it off. Fernand gives him a lecture about his potential and the blood of the founding emperor, building up Aint's ego while securing a favor. He tells Ain't to just call it an investment. He's technically lying through his teeth, but it sounds noble. Ain't is starting to think Fernand is actually a decent guy, which is exactly what Fernand wants him to think. Fernand puts on a fake smile, but inside he's crying over the cost of that potion. He hates spending money without a guaranteed return. Ain't thanks him and heads off toward the dungeon, promising to repay the favor someday. Phase 1 of the plan is a success. Fernand hides in the bushes and watches the kid go. He wants to make sure Ain't actually drinks the potion and enters the dungeon as planned. After a bit of time, Fernand follows him inside. The dungeon looks exactly like the one in his memories, dark, damp, and full of secrets. He's still a bit skeptical, but since nothing attacked him on the way in, he assumes Ain't must have cleared the path already. He notices a magic lantern on the wall and realizes something is weird. He can't feel any mana traces even though there are lights everywhere. It's a permanent magic lantern that absorbs mana from its surroundings. These things are incredibly valuable and ain't just left them behind like trash. Fernan thinks the kid is either incredibly stupid or just doesn't know the value of anything. He's starting to doubt if this is really the hero. According to the prophecy, Ain't was supposed to enter this place injured and half dead from his fall at the entrance. The memory shows Ain't barely hanging on, covered in blood and coughing up his lungs as he drags himself through the halls. Even though his injuries didn't heal and the potions he had were garbage, the kid just kept walking forward through the pain. He was instinctively pulled toward the center of the dungeon, where a legendary sword was waiting for him at the altar. Ain't finds the long sword, and even though it looks plain, it calls out to his very soul. This is the moment a legend is born. The second Ain't grabs the hilt, the entire sword starts to glow with a blinding light. A brilliant light fills the dark chamber as the sword recognizes its new master. Ain't is officially the chosen one now. Fernan walks into the room later and finds Ain't gone. The kid literally vanished into thin air after taking the sword. He finds the empty altar where the sword used to be. The magical traces are still there, confirming the main character got his prize. All of this proof is starting to weigh on Fernan. If the sword was real and Ain't is the hero, then the rest is unavoidable. That means the vision of him getting those expulsion papers is the absolute truth. His rich life is officially on a countdown. He sees a vision of his future self being humiliated by his own father while Aunt watches. They're taking everything. His name, his money, everything. Fernan clutches his head in despair. The reality of losing his fortune is hitting him harder than that lightning strike did. This is a messed up future. He's determined to change his fate even if it means manipulating the entire world to do it. Ain't Armian. The prophecy says he's the legendary protagonist destined to save the world from a demon invasion. But for Fernan, he's more than just a hero. He's the guy specifically destined to ruin his life. No pressure. Even so, Fernan can't help but look at this kid like a stockbroker watching a winning ticker. He's definitely a rising stock. The charts don't lie. Aint's value is about to skyrocket. This is a prime investment opportunity, and it's time to buy the dip. The only problem is that Aint's personality is the polar opposite of Fernan's. This kid values honor, while Fernan just wants to fill his pockets. If he just tries to throw money at him, it's going to backfire hard. Ain't would probably try to purge a shameless bastard like that on the spot. His assistant Hyde walks in, noticing the young master looks like he's trying to solve a multivariable calculus equation in his head. Fernan asks him what he would do if a merchant guild was a guaranteed win. Hyde's answer is simple: invest without hesitation. But then Hyde brings up a fair point. What if their style is just totally different from yours? Would that be a deal breaker? Fernan remembers his own golden rule. Money can match any style. He's not going to let a little thing like personality get in the way of profit. In the face of massive returns, who cares if you don't get along? You invest, you bear the risk, and you earn the reward. That's business 101. He decides he needs more intel on Ain't and stands up to go meet him right now. No time like the present to secure the future. Hyde is completely bewildered because Fernan has guests coming soon, but the boss is already halfway out the door. The poor guy is left standing there while Fernan runs off for the second time in 2 days. Managing this guy must be an absolute nightmare. At the academy, your dorm is your status. Ranks 1 to 10 get the luxury lifestyle in Ravito's Hall. Ranks 11 to 30 end up in Bless Hall. Still nice, but definitely not the penthouse suite. And then there's everything below rank 31, the bottom feeders, who get stuck in the rundown to Bess Hall. The ego of Gardner, the ghost inside Aint's sword, is absolutely losing his mind that a royal descendant is staying in a dump like this. He thinks it's unbelievable that someone with Armian blood is living among the peasants instead of in Ravito's Hall. Ain't is just chilling, reading a book and wondering why his sword is suddenly ranting about demons and honor. Gardner grumbles that if the demons hadn't interfered, the Armian family would still be on top. He's definitely living in the past. The ghost is struggling to accept that his current master is considered weak by academy standards. Talk about a blow to the ego. Ain't actually blames the first emperor for their current situation. Gardner looks like he's about to have a spectral heart attack. Apparently, the first emperor abolished imperial succession and set up a system where 7 houses elect the leader. Brave move, but bad for the family business. He also donated most of the family's land and assets to the empire. A century ago, the crown moved on, and the Armians went broke. The household declined so much, they even lost their secret sword techniques. Ain't is essentially a royal in name only at this point. Gardner realizes the kid has it rough, but still sees massive talent in him. He promises to help Ain't restore the family's former glory. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. Ain't isn't expecting anyone, so he's instantly on high alert. He opens it up to find a very fancy-looking guy standing there. He asks who it is, clearly not recognizing the billionaire in his hallway. Fernand just stands there looking cool and replies that he's his senior. Ain't is just confused. Why is a top ranker visiting the slums? Ain't finally realizes who it is and lets out a gasp. He's shocked that the moneyhound himself is standing at his door. Fernand asks if he's busy, acting like he's just dropping by for a casual chat instead of a calculated business move. He says he doesn't have anything urgent but wants to borrow some of Ain't's time. The investment is officially beginning. Since there are other students whispering in the hallways, Fernand suggests they find somewhere a bit more private to talk. Ain't asks for 10 minutes to get himself ready. He may be a fallen royal, but he's still got some standards to uphold. Fernand goes full boomer mode, lecturing him about how newbies used to run out in their underwear if a senior called. He's really laying it on thick. Ain't panics and promises to be out in 5 minutes instead. Fernand just smirks. Getting people to do what you want is all about the pressure. Inside the room, Gardner is fuming, wondering what the hell is up with that ancient boomer's attitude. The ghost calls the Pellenberg family nouveau riche, which is basically the ultimate insult from a guy who's 1,000 years old. He rants that all they have is money and wonders what a royal descendant could possibly want with someone like Fernand. When they meet up, Fernand immediately notices that Ain't brought his sword along. He's already scanning for the ego he saw in the memories. Ain't claims he just feels calmer when he has a sword in hand. It's a classic knight thing, so Fernand just rolls with it. Fernand knows exactly what that sword is. He's sitting across from one of the most powerful artifacts in existence and acting like it's a toothpick. He keeps it casual and says he just wanted to grab a meal together. It's the soft approach he decided on earlier. Ain't starts sweating because the restaurant Fernand picked looks way too expensive for his bottom feeder budget. Fernand pulls the "don't turn down your senior" card again to force him into ordering. This guy is a master of social manipulation. Looking at the kid, Fernand thinks he seems naive and soft. He's trying to reconcile this polite boy with the hero from the prophecy. The more he thinks about it, the more annoyed he gets. How did this kid end up cleaning him out and wrecking his future? He pivots the conversation and asks Ain't what his actual goals are after he finishes up at the academy. He points out that most people are just here to network, but the Armian house has avoided social gatherings for years. Ain't admits he's sick of being looked down on. He's tired of being the fallen royal that everyone whispers about. Fernand notices the shift in his vibe. The kid's eyes have completely changed now that they're talking about his dreams. Ain't declares that he's going to become a royal knight and restore his family's honor. He's got that main character fire in his eyes now. This isn't just a naive kid anymore. Ain't has a genuine, ironclad will. Fernand is starting to see why the prophecy chose him. He's proud of his lineage and has the ambition to match it. This is the undervalued super blue chip Fernand was looking for. Fernand updates his mental notes. The soft look was just a cover. This kid is actually built different. He's got a general read on Ain't now. Time to finalize the strategy for the long-term investment. He breaks it down like a professional trader. High pride, high self-esteem, values honor. Anna Ain't is a top-tier asset if handled correctly. Giving him money directly would have been a disaster. He needs a subtle push and pull to build a relationship based on trust, not just cash. He'll slowly build the trust and seep into his life. Fernand's smile is looking a little more villainous than usual here. In his head, he's already caught his prey. Hook, line, and sinker. Ain't is about to become his most profitable ally. He gets back home, and Hyde is waiting for him. The assistant is probably wondering if the young master went on another cross-country adventure. Hyde mentions a guy named Burchef. Fernand is totally lost. He's so focused on Ain't that he's forgotten his actual business meetings. Apparently, Luina Burchef was supposed to come talk about his massive debt today. Fernand's reaction is just a casual, "Oh, that was today?" The guy waited for 3 hours before giving up and leaving. Fernand really doesn't care about making his debtors wait. In fact, he thinks it's better if the guy is discouraged. It's easier to squeeze people when they're feeling desperate. He spent a lot of effort tying Burchef down, so he wants to keep the pressure high. This is the Fernand everyone knows and fears. Suddenly, he doubles over in pain. Hyde panics, thinking his boss is having another lightning-related incident. Fernand claims it's just a sudden headache, but his eyes tell a different story. Something is happening again. His eye glows a piercing red. Another piece of the prophecy is forcing its way into his conscious mind. New text starts floating in his vision. It's a part of the prophecy that was blurred out before, but now it's becoming crystal clear. The prophecy describes a woman with brown hair and aquamarine eyes. She's noble and more alive than any other. She's got the talent to be a royal knight, but there's a darkness in her heart. She's connected to Ain't in a major way. The prophecy says if her shackles are broken, she will spread her wings and soar freely. Sounds like a classic rescue mission. But then comes the shocker. Ain't wanted to free her from House Pellenberg. Fernand is the one holding the shackles. Everything clicks. This is the real reason Ain't ended up hating him. Fernand was the villain in some girl's tragic backstory. He looks across the room at the woman mentioned in the prophecy. She's right there, working for him, looking completely stoic. Fernand just lets out a dark curse. He's found the missing piece of the puzzle, and it's a lot more complicated than he thought. Luina Birchef is just sitting there, wondering why her life is a series of unfortunate events. She's already incredibly suspicious of Fernand's sudden interest in her. She's been stood up, and for someone in deep debt, every wasted second counts. Desperation is a powerful motivator, and she knows she's in a bad spot. She's thinking he's trying to crush her once and for all. Usually, when the richest guy in the empire wants to talk to a debtor, it's not for a friendly chat. Speak of the devil, Fernand strolls into the room like he owns the place, which, to be fair, he basically does. Fernand can feel the irritation radiating off her from 10 feet away. He knows House Birchef used to be big-shot border dukes before things went south for them. They were the shield against the northern monster frontier, but a massive wave of beasts broke their defenses and their bank account. Noble duty doesn't pay the bills when the monsters win. Their ironclad legacy burned to the ground along with their property. To keep the lights on, Luina's family had to start selling off every bit of history they had. They sold everything from official deeds to family heirlooms, but the hole was too deep. That's when Fernand's father, Duke Pellenberg, decided to reach out. Fernand wonders for a second if his old man actually had a heart and sympathized with their misfortunes. Spoiler alert, he definitely didn't. Nope, not even a little bit. The Pellenbergs only cared about one thing, getting their hands on the Birchef family's secret sword techniques. The Duke played dirty. He blocked other nobles from helping, so Luina's family was forced to take a high-interest loan from him. Absolute villain behavior. It kept the family from going extinct, but now they're just slaves to the interest payments. Fernand thinks his dad was too soft, he would have squeezed them for the sword arts long ago. Looking at her through his prophecy vision, Fernand sees Luina isn't just a debtor, she's destined to become the future lover of the main character, Ain't Armian. If Luina is the key to Ain't's heart, then Fernand needs to make sure she doesn't think he's a total scumbag. Time for some serious damage control. He finally sits down for the dinner meeting he skipped. Luina looks like she'd rather be fighting a dragon than sitting across from him. Fernand actually apologizes for missing the appointment, claiming he was just out of it. It's a rare moment of humility from him, even if it's a total lie. Luina isn't buying the act. She knows the world works on power, and as the debtor, she just has to endure whatever unfairness he throws her way. He insists it wasn't on purpose, but she just shuts him down, telling him she'll pretend it wasn't. She's really not in the mood for games. She gets straight to the point, asking why the big, bad heir of House Pellenberg wanted to meet with her so urgently. Fernand puts on his most charming face. He needs to nail this first impression if he wants to change his doomed future as a homeless man. And thus, Operation Win Over Luina Birchef officially kicks off. Phase 1 starts with a very weird request. He mentions that starting next year, the magic and night departments have joint classes. Before he can even finish his pitch, she hits him with a hard no. She's not pulling any punches, asking why she should partner with him. She knows exactly where they both stand in the school rankings. She tells him there's nothing to gain from partnering with him. She's ranked second in the whole department, and he's stuck all the way back at 10th. Brutal honesty. Fernand drops the big guns. He tells her if she partners with him for 3 years, he'll exempt her family's interest payments. Now that's an offer she literally can't refuse. Luina is absolutely stunned. She knows Fernand is a money maniac, so why is he suddenly being so generous? It feels like a massive trap. He tries to play it off like the joint classes are just that important for his own grades. Yeah, right, buddy. We know the real reason is, don't get expelled. She's still suspicious and asks why he wants to sponsor her too. She's already on a full scholarship at the academy, so she's not exactly a charity case. But Fernand knows the truth. She sends all her scholarship money home and lives more frugally than an average commoner just to keep her family afloat. He tells her he wants to invest in her because she has talent. It's a line she's never heard from a noble, especially not one who's basically her landlord. Internally, Fernand notes that Luina values honor and integrity just like Ain't. That makes her predictable, and Fernand loves predictable assets. He thinks Birchef's honor is cute compared to Ain't's, but he's still careful. One wrong word, and this whole partnership deal goes south. Luina asks if he's trying to insult her. She's used to people looking down on her family's fallen status and feels a bit defensive. Fernand isn't worried. He knows that no matter how much she hates it, her family's survival depends on this deal. This isn't the time for pride. He doubles down, telling her that what he said about her talent wasn't a lie. Then he decides to get absolutely weird with it to seal the deal. He starts quoting the Prophecies' flowery description of her sword dance, talking about her brown hair like drifting clouds and eyes the color of aquamarine. He tells her she's more alive than any other. He's laying the cringe on so thick it's a miracle she hasn't drawn her sword and stabbed him yet. He literally stands up and starts reciting a poem titled, A Hymn to Luina Birchef's Swordplay. The absolute madman is actually doing it. Luina looks like she wants to crawl into a hole and die of embarrassment, screaming at him to stop already. This is peak secondhand cringe. Fernand is fully committed to the bit now, yelling that he can't stop. He's really leaning into the role of an obsessed, poetic fanboy. He screams that he still hasn't found the perfect phrase to describe the beauty of her swordplay. The guy is a natural-born actor, honestly. It works perfectly. Luina screams back that she'll be his partner if he just shuts his mouth. That's one way to win a contract negotiation. The contract terms are 3 years of interest exemption and full sponsorship. The only condition is that the deal stays strictly private between them. Back home, Luina's nanny is reading over the papers with a skeptical look. She can't believe her lady is partnering with that guy for 3 whole years. Luina admits that it was just too good of a deal to refuse. A chance to save her family from debt is worth a little bit of social cringe. The nanny asks what he saw in her again. Luina has to repeat that whole noble and alive speech, and it's even worse for her to say it out loud. Luina tries to smile about the financial victory, but the memory of Fernand's poem is already haunting her soul. She's already looking like she regrets her life choices. Partnering with a money maniac who might be a secret poet? Yikes. The nanny is absolutely fuming. She thinks that crazy money freak is up to something, even if she admits he has a sharp eye for talent. She's convinced that the Pellenberg brat has stooped to seduction, trying to enchant her with his sharp looks and deep eyes. Luina just stares at her with a deadpan expression and asks if that's her type. The roast is served. Luina doesn't feel like she was being seduced, but she's definitely suspicious. Still, waiving 3 years of interest is a miracle for her family. A knock at the door interrupts the nanny's rant. Someone is looking for the lady of the house. It's Hyde, the ever-present assistant, telling her Lord Fernan wishes to see Lady Luina. The contract hasn't even cooled yet and he's already back. Hyde says the boss is waiting at the training ground and wants her there ASAP. The nanny looks like she's about to throw a lamp at him. Luina is genuinely confused. Why the training ground? What is the money freak trying to do in a place for physical labor? Fernan is already there, walking through the arena looking way too formal. He's got that "I have a hidden plan" stride down to a science. A quick stat check. Luina has always been second in class, but she's never been able to beat the top student, Almondorit. Fernan remembers the prophecy about the darkness in her heart. He needs to see for himself if she really has what it takes to be a royal knight. He thinks they'll see soon enough if she's the real deal. He's not just investing his gold, he's investing in her potential to change his doomed future. Luina arrives at the training ground, fully geared up and ready for whatever weirdness Fernan has planned for this meeting. Fernan tells her he doesn't want her thinking he's dead weight. He wants to prove he's a worthy partner by defeating her right here and now. She acknowledges that he's ranked 10th and has the right to be in the luxury dorm, but she still doesn't think he's anywhere near her level. Fernan just gives her a smug smile, suggesting they test the difference between 2nd and 10th place. This dude is feeling way too confident for a mage. Luina draws her sword with a sharp metallic click. She's not going to go easy on him just because he's her new sponsor. Fernan lets her have the first move, standing there casually with his staff. She tells him she'll gladly take it up, her eyes narrowing. She lunges forward with incredible speed, but Fernan is already channeling some serious red magical energy. Fernan smirks as the floor beneath him starts to crack. He's not playing around, he's about to drop some heavy-duty magic on the knight. Massive shards of rock erupt from the ground like red crystal spears. Luina barely dodges the first wave of the earth-shattering spell. She's airborne, spinning through the air with her sword and slashing through the flying debris. The girl really does have insane talent. A massive impact rocks the whole arena floor. The dust is everywhere, and the sound of clashing magic and steel is deafening. Through the smoke, Luina thinks she's spotted a clear opening in his defense. She shouts that she's got him, diving in for what she thinks is the winning strike. Her eyes are glowing with absolute focus. She's putting every ounce of her strength into this one strike to end the fight quickly. But the red energy swirling around Fernan only gets more intense. He's creating a literal whirlpool of magical pressure. She swings her sword with all her might, but she's suddenly met with a wall of raw power that pushes her back. Wait, something's seriously wrong? Her attack didn't even land, and Fernan is still standing there looking completely bored. Fernan is just chilling in the center of a red magical storm. The dude looks like a final boss in the middle of a cutscene right now. Luina stares at the floor in total disbelief. He didn't just dodge, he completely destroyed the magically reinforced training ground floor. She realizes that even strong blows from Master Knights aren't supposed to leave a mark on this floor. Fernan is on a completely different level. He plants his staff into the cracked earth, looking like he didn't even break a sweat during that whole test. She's wondering if he's been hiding his strength. Luina finally sees the truth. The moneyhound is actually a monster in disguise. Fernan is unleashing absolute hell in the arena. The training ground looks like a volcanic eruption of raw, red, magical power. Luina can't believe what she's seeing. Multicasting and chaining high-level magic like this shouldn't be possible for a student, let alone a 10th ranker. She's genuinely terrified by the output. She's staring at the storm, wondering just how deep his mana pools actually go. This definitely isn't the skill level of someone at the bottom of the top 10. She realizes she completely and dangerously underestimated her opponent. She thinks she's going to lose. Her eyes are wide with shock as the magical pressure continues to mount against her. She creates a blue mana shield to block the incoming debris. It's a desperate last-ditch move just to stay in the fight. Fernan is just standing there with a blank expression, watching the rocks fly like it's a boring Tuesday. He cracks a dark, smug grin through the red lightning. This was all a demonstration to show her who's really in charge of this partnership. The arena is literally falling apart under the strain. Rocks are raining down everywhere as the magical output reaches its peak. Luina is darting through the air, trying to find a gap in the red magic spikes. She's moving like a blur just to stay alive. She's putting everything she has into her defense, but it's like trying to stop a tidal wave with a wooden board. The power difference is insane. The entire room is engulfed in red and black energy. It's total chaos, and the reinforced walls are barely holding the explosion back. Suddenly, the pressure vanishes. Luina stops mid-swing, looking completely confused by the sudden silence. Fernan just holds up a hand and casually surrenders. Bro really just quit in the middle of a massive power flex. Luina is fuming, asking if he's mocking her. He just claims he simply ran out of mana. Yeah, okay, sure, buddy. He explains that a mage with no mana is a sitting duck for a night. He looks so casual about it that it's actually tilting for poor Luina. Luina knows she won by technicality because he depleted his mana, but it doesn't feel like a victory at all. He controlled the whole pace. She's got a really bad feeling about the whole exchange. This win feels completely hollow, and she knows he was holding back. Fernan reaches into his pocket and says he has something for her. Luina is still on guard, wondering what weird item he's got now. He hands her a fancy box of chocolates as a reward for her victory. The audacity to give his creditor candy after almost blowing her up is incredible. He mentions they're special whiskey chocolates made by his family, and he's already offering alternatives if she doesn't like them. Luina is paralyzed for a second. She actually starts drooling at the mention of Kraken Ink chocolate specialty from the Kingdom of Phrasia. She snaps out of it and asks if he did a background check on her. He just tells her to wipe her drool before she keeps talking. He claims he merely looked into the personal details of all top-ranked students. Luina isn't buying it. That's literally the definition of a background check, Fernan. She takes the chocolate but insists she's not a child who can be bought with sweets. She's trying so hard to keep her dignity intact while holding a ribbon box. Fernan says he thought she'd like them, but he won't force her to keep them. She snatches the box immediately before he can take it back. He walks away, telling her they should get along from now on. He's got her right where he wants her, hooked on premium snacks. Luina calls out to him, stopping him in his tracks. She has one massive question that's been eating at her since the fight started. She can't fathom how someone with that much immense mana and destructive power is only ranked 10th in the department. Fernan just gives her that smug, knowing look. He asks if it isn't obvious, radiating that "I know something you don't" energy. He tells her a merchant doesn't step into the spotlight. He likes to keep his true power hidden while he pulls the strings from the shadows. Back in his office, there's a pile of shattered, purple magical equipment on the desk. That mana depletion earlier was a very expensive lie. Hyde is absolutely horrified, asking what he did to completely shatter the mana storage and amplifier. Fernan just says the duel was pretty strong. He admits he came well prepared with gear, and everything still got wrecked. Hyde is questioning why he'd waste such precious items just for a spar. Fernan picks up a piece of the shattered crystal. To a guy with his bank account, it's just the necessary cost of doing business. He calls it an investment in the future. Hyde is still not convinced that breaking priceless artifacts is a sound financial strategy. Fernan thinks back to Luina's moves and calls them beautiful. Hyde wonders if the side effects from the lightning strike are finally resurfacing. He realizes the prophecy about Ain's judgment wasn't wrong. Luina's swordplay is truly elegant. Now he knows why his father covets those sword arts. He's still trying to figure out why someone with that much raw talent has never once taken the top spot in the academy. He suspects it's because her equipment is subpar and holding her back. In his world, money can solve any problem, including bad gear. Hyde changes the subject to the Duke. The Burchef secret sword art was his Grace's long-cherished wish, and Fernan just threw a wrench in it. Fernan admits he didn't think much about it during the moment, but now that Hyde mentioned it, he's actually a bit worried. Hyde suggests the Duke might just kill him to get it over with. Fernan isn't so sure his family bond is stronger than his dad's greed. He can vividly picture his father clutching the back of his neck and collapsing in rage after reading about the interest exemption. He spends his time buried in books, trying his best to ignore the wild thoughts and anxious premonitions washing over him. A few days later, the reply from the Duke finally arrives. It's time to face the music for his investment. Hyde is literally crying, feeling like today is his last day serving the young master. Fernan is looking at the envelope like it's a bomb. He tries to convince himself he's supposed to be disowned because of Ain't, that joining hands with a demon is the only thing that could ruin him. He opens the letter and the color drains from his face. The message is blunt. His father thinks he's been possessed by a demon. Well, that escalated. Fernan is in total shock. The demon? Hyde looks like he's already picked out his funeral arrangements. He tells Hyde they need to go see his father right now. He can't let this rumor about demon possession get any more momentum. He's terrified that he's getting tangled up with the actual demons from the prophecy way earlier than he was supposed to. He arrives at the grand estate. He can't exactly tell his dad about the book of prophecy in his head, so he needs a different plan. The head butler tells him his grace is waiting. The air in the mansion is thick enough to cut with a sword. Fernan tries to keep a composed face as he walks down the long hallway. He knows one wrong word and he's effectively homeless. He's sure the Duke will fly into a rage, accusing him of trying to ruin the family's long-term goals. He enters the study, knowing he needs to offer something massive to offset the loss of the Berchef sword art. The Duke is sitting at his desk, looking even more composed and terrifying than Fernan expected. He hasn't even stopped writing. His father asks if he's taken some drug and lost his mind. It's not exactly the welcome home Fernan was hoping for. He even suggests the first emperor came back to life just to possess his son. Fernan has to explain his logic fast before things get physical. He stands his ground and says he decided to make a better investment in the Berchef household than just stealing their techniques. The Duke asks what investment could possibly be better than the secret sword art they've wanted for years. Fernan just says he cannot tell him. His father reminds him that right now, he's just a sinner and a scoundrel trying to squander the family's hard-earned fortune. Fernan is fully aware of his precarious position. He's gambling his entire future on this one high-stakes conversation with his dad. The Duke finally looks up, asking what the source of all this newfound confidence is. The pressure is absolutely suffocating. Fernan sticks to his guns. He cannot tell him. He's basically challenging his father's authority to get what he wants. He knows his dad thinks he's just throwing a tantrum, but he's actually about to play the biggest card from the prophecy. He's dead serious about this trade-off, and he needs his father to see that he's not just throwing a tantrum. He offers to give him secret information that only he knows, in exchange for taking full responsibility over the Berchef situation. He claims it's from a private intelligence group he runs personally. It's a total lie, but it's the only way to explain his knowledge. His father is still highly skeptical, doubting it's better than what their family already has, but tells him to go on. Fernan drops the actual bomb. There's an undiscovered magic crystal mine west of the Aris Mountains in the Donets territory. The Duke is genuinely stunned. A magic crystal mine? He's never heard even a whisper of a mine in that particular area. Fernan explains that children playing in the dirt sometimes find buried coins, but his group found the actual source underground. That location in the Aarhus Mountains is more than enough to cover the interest losses and leave them with a massive surplus. Magic stone is the ultimate or pure mana packed into a rock. They're basically literal mountains of money, and Fernan knows exactly where a secret stash is hidden. He plays it cool with his father, claiming he hasn't seen the mine himself yet. He's got to act like he's just following a hot lead from his private spies. The timing is perfect because their rivals, the Donerts family, are having a financial meltdown after a typhoon sank their latest shipment. One man's tragedy is another man's profit. Duke Pellenberg looks like he's already spending the money in his head. He wants to delay revealing the mine so they can buy up the land for cheap while the owners are desperate. The Duke tells Fernan that if this lead is real, it'll more than cover the interest loss. He tells his son to go back to school and focus on his studies. Fernan bows out, glad that he managed to survive the meeting without getting disowned or worse. Once he's out of the room, he lets out a massive sigh of relief. Dealing with his old man feels like it shaved 10 years off his life. Suddenly, the Duke calls him back. Fernan freezes, thinking he might have celebrated too early and slipped up. He turns around with his loyal son mask back on, wondering what he messed up. But his dad just wants to have a meal together since he's home. Fernan is sweating buckets because a family meal with his dad is basically just a second interview. He can't even get a break when he's winning. The doors close, leaving the two power players to have their awkward father-son bonding time over a mountain of gold. Later, the Duke admits he's a little disappointed in Black Turtle, his own top-tier intelligence unit. They missed a whole magic mine right under their noses. The head of the unit is busy apologizing and promising to do better. He's probably terrified the young master's private group is making them look like amateurs. The butler chimes in, impressed that Fernan is actually doing business with the Duke now. The moneyhound is officially growing up. The Duke is still suspicious, though. He wonders how Fernan's supposed intelligence squad found out about the mine when nobody else knew. He starts theorizing that maybe Fernan's group specifically specializes in finding rare ores and minerals. They start discussing the Golden Pillar. It's clear the Duke is starting to take his son's business sense very seriously. The theory is that Fernan chose to be an earth mage specifically because he knew it would help him find money in the ground. Even with high fire affinity, he went for the gold finder build. The butler thinks it's a genius move. If Fernan really does have a group that can sniff out ores, he's going to be unstoppable in the merchant world. The Duke smirks, remembering how his son was always obsessed with rocks as a kid. He thinks Fernan's greed has finally reached its final, most profitable form. They're both impressed that Fernan did something so extraordinary. It's nice to see Dad finally being proud, even if it's just because of profit margins. But then the Duke's mood shifts. He wants to know the details of how Luina Birchef managed to seduce his son into a bad deal. He reminds the butler that there's no reason to invest if there's no profit. In his mind, Fernan must have been thinking with his heart instead of his wallet. He wonders if this is just the love of youth, or if his son is playing an even deeper game than he realizes. The Duke smirks, having a feeling that there's more to it. He knows his son loves money more than anything, even his own family. He looks confident, almost as if he's enjoying the mystery of his son's new personality. The Duke is genuinely curious to see where this leads, wondering what a guy who loves money more than his father could choose. Back at the academy, Luina is absolutely destroying a massive parfait. She's telling Fernan about how Alia Tortega paired up with some other guy. Alia is a top 5 student in the night department, so her moves are big news. Luina is clearly more interested in the ice cream than the drama. Fernan asks why she's spreading rumors about their partnership. He likes to keep his business in the shadows, but she's out here making it a headline. She just shrugs and says everyone will find out eventually. She's got her priorities straight: first dessert, then business. The rumor is that she only partnered with Fernan because of his money. Luina admits it's not completely wrong. The paycheck is the only reason she's putting up with him. Fernan just laughs it off. At least the guy is honest about his brand, admitting he really does like money. He starts digging through his bag, making Luina wonder what the money demon is about to pull out next. Luina is internally screaming. She hates that she's stuck with this guy, but the interest exemption is a debt lifesaver. Fernan holds out a box and tells her to take it. He's acting like he's just giving her a casual gift, but we know nothing with him is free. Inside is a high-grade elixir and a golden voucher. This isn't just a snack, it's a massive power-up for a knight. He explains it's a mandrake elixir and a voucher for the best weapon shop in the Empire. He's basically giving her a starter kit for a legend. Luina is wide-eyed. She knows she can't pay him back for items this valuable. She's realized her boss is way more intense than she thought. Fernan reminds her of their sponsorship contract. These are items from the Golden Turtle, his family's top merchant company. She thinks it's way too much for a gift. She's struggling with her pride, knowing she's becoming more and more indebted to him. Fernan's internal monologue is cold. He thinks if this is the price of gaining Luina's favor and preventing a future where he's a beggar, it's cheap. He hits her with the legal jargon, saying that refusing sponsorship is a breach of contract with heavy penalties. Luina gives in, looking absolutely annoyed as she accepts the items. Winning her over with legal threats is a classic Fernan move. He tells her he'll see her in class and walks off to do some work. The guy never stops grinding. Luina watches him go, clutching the box. She's still trying to wrap her head around why a money-obsessed guy is being so generous. She has a buffering moment, trying to remember if there actually was a penalty clause in that contract. Spoiler, he probably made it up on the spot. She wonders if her nanny was right and he's actually trying to seduce her, thinking to herself that he can try, clearly still unimpressed. The sun shines over the academy, but the peace isn't going to last long with all these future events starting to trigger. Fernan is bored out of his mind during a lecture. He's scanning the room for Ain't Armian, wondering where the main character is hiding. The first lecture of the night department is happening, real-life sparring. This is where the prophecy says Ain't will finally make his move. According to the memories, Ain't is about to use that ego sword to absolutely crush everyone in a friendly spar. The text confirms that he began to stand out and become famous. The legend is about to kick off in front of the whole school. Ain't is glowing like a literal god. The story of the hero who saves the world is finally starting in earnest. Someone starts walking up behind Fernan. He can tell just by the stride that this isn't some random student. It's Lugger Schwaben, the second prince of the Empire. This guy is basically royalty incarnate and looks every bit the part. Ludger is acting all polite, but Fernan just smirks back. These two know exactly who the other is, and they definitely aren't friends. The prince asks if there are any new students Fernan is keeping an eye on. He's fishing for information, acting casual while hunting for threats. Fernan gives him the same energy, saying he always keeps a close eye on the rankings and asks what about him. Ludger drops the act and gets straight to the point, asking if he's here to see a Hansi Armian. He knows exactly why Fernan is lurking. He smirks, noting that it's only natural for people to be curious about the former imperial family finally coming back to school. The current royal family, the Schwabens, have been on the throne for 3 generations. They aren't exactly thrilled about an Armian showing up with legitimacy. The family tree shows the split. Schwaben and Armian come from the same roots, but they've been in a strained Cold War for a century. Ludger is worried that Aint's presence might threaten his own claim to the throne. He's a guy who values authority above all else. Fernan looks a bit surprised. He knew Ain't was important, but he didn't realize the prince was already this paranoid. Next up is Varen Kalbunder, a red-haired beast of a student. This guy is a total powerhouse and looks like he's ready for a war. Ludger mentions that Varen is trying to take the place of the fallen elector houses. He's been staring at Ain't like he's his next meal. Fernan realizes the pieces are moving. This is where the alliance between the prince and the red-haired antagonist first started. A vision of the future pops up. Ludger telling Varen to beat him and make the world understand that the past is history. Varen just gives a cold, "I understand." This dude is the next big obstacle for Ain't to overcome in his hero journey. Varen is officially the next antagonist. He's determined to cut off the sprout of Armian before Ain't can grow too strong. The instructor yells for the next match between Anton Dern and Ain't Armian. The crowd goes silent as the fallen royal steps into the ring. Fernan watches intently. He's witnessing the real beginning of the journey he read about in his head. Ain't grips his sword, looking calm and collected. He's ready to show everyone why he's the protagonist. The crowd goes absolutely wild as Ain't defeats Anton Dern. It wasn't even close, it was a total stomp. Ain't stands tall, his name already starting to spread among the professors and students. The weak descendant is officially a prodigy now. Ludger and Varen are watching from the shadows, their expressions dark. The threat level of Ain't Armian just jumped to maximum. Fernan watches the chaos with a satisfied smirk. This proves he was right to invest in Ain't. Now he just has to make sure he's on the winning side when the world ends. Instructor Anto Dern bellows for the duel to commence. He's looking for raw aggression and zero hesitation from these students. Ain't and his opponent charge toward each other, their boots kicking up dust as they close the distance in a flash. Ain't looks completely locked in. He's tracking every movement, waiting for the perfect microsecond to let his blade fly. The swords collide with a heavy metallic ring. Ain't isn't backing down an inch, meeting his senior's power with pure grit. The opponent is visibly shocked as Aint's blade starts to glow with a faint, concentrated energy. This isn't the weak royal he was expecting. Ain't delivers a massive kick that sends the guy flying backward through the air. Talk about a get-off-me move. The opponent skids across the floor, desperately trying to find his footing after that aerial detour. Ain't is breathing hard, but he's still standing tall. He's making a statement that the Armian name isn't just for the history books. The crowd is already whispering. They can't believe the unlucky kid from the bottom feeder dorm is actually holding his own against a ranker. The swords clash again and again. Ain't is being pushed back, but he's parrying every strike with pinpoint accuracy. Prince Ludger is watching from the balcony with a bored smirk. He thinks Ain't is just putting on a desperate, pathetic show of survival. Fernan has seen enough. He's already seen the future, and watching the prologue in person is just taking up his valuable merchant time. Ludger is surprised that Fernan is leaving so early, but the money demon just gives him a mysterious look. Suddenly, the energy in the room shifts. Ain't delivers a vertical slash that looks like it's carving through reality itself. His opponent freezes, eyes wide with terror as the blade comes down. He's realized too late that he's not fighting a student. He's fighting a legend in the making. The impact is massive, creating a shockwave that rattles the entire viewing gallery. The opponent's chest plate gets sliced clean through. Ain't didn't just win, he dismantled the guy's defense and his pride in one swing. The crowd goes silent as the dust settles. A 38th ranked kid just put a senior in the dirt. Ludger's bored expression is officially gone. He's looking at Ain't with a mix of confusion and genuine concern now. Even the red-haired Varen looks rattled. He's starting to realize that his path to power just got a whole lot more complicated. Fernan points out that Ain't was just caught off guard by the initial aggression, but once he calmed down, the prodigy took over. The tables have completely turned. Ain't is standing over his defeated foe, looking every bit like the protagonist he's meant to be. The senior can't even believe it. He just got clapped by a guy who's ranked 30 places below him. He tries to power up one last time, his body glowing with a desperate red aura. He's having a full identity crisis, refusing to believe he's going to lose. The whispers in the crowd are getting louder. Some think Ain't just got lucky, but others are starting to see the imperial bloodline finally waking up. Ludger tries to save face, saying Ain't is at least living up to the Armian name. He's trying to act like he's not threatened, but we see you, Prince. Fernan thinks the idea of Ain't having no talent is the funniest joke he's heard all week. Aint's opponent launches a final, enraged attack. It's all or nothing now, and the kid looks like a demon in a school uniform. Ain't doesn't even flinch. He meets the blow head on, his eyes glowing with an intensity that would make a dragon pause. The swords meet in a shower of sparks. Aint's blade is glowing with a pure, white light that's completely overpowering the red aura. Ain't is moving like a ghost now, parrying and counterattacking with speed that the human eye can barely track. Fernan watches with a small smile. Ain't is special, and he's the only one who knows exactly how high this kid is going to fly. He is the chosen one from the prophecy, and the legend starts right here in this dusty training room. Ain't delivers the final blow, a horizontal slash that sends the opponent's sword spinning out of his hands. The crowd, Ludger, Varen, everyone is stunned into silence. The status quo of the academy just got shattered. The senior's sword clatters to the ground, marking the official end of the fight. The defeated student drops to his knees, completely exhausted and mentally broken. He never stood a chance. Instructor Anto Dern steps in and bellows that the winner is Ain't Armian. The man looks impressed, which is saying a lot. The crowd erupts. Everyone is chanting his name, and Ain't just stands there, finally getting a taste of the respect his family used to own. The other rankers are looking at him like he's a new predator in their territory. The game has officially changed. Fernand is practically drooling at the sight of Ain't's value skyrocketing. His choice wasn't wrong. The man is a financial genius. He can literally hear the money rolling in. He's going to raise Ain't like a prize fighter and milk that alliance for everything it's worth. He's already planning 10 steps ahead, wondering how he can use Ain't's new fame to his advantage. Then he turns his attention to his next objective, winning over Luina. He's got the hero. Now he needs the heroine. The rest of the students are still gossiping about the Fernand and Luina pairing. They think she settled for him just because of the gold. Luina is trying to ignore the stares, but it's hard when your partner is the most hated money demon in school. Fernand asks if she's used the elixir and gear he gave her yet. He's checking on his investment like a proud gardener. Luina admits the equipment wasn't bad. High praise coming from a knight who's used to working with scraps. The sounds of clicking heels echo through the hall as another professor approaches. The vibe is getting a lot more serious. Professor Rosalia and Anto Dern stand before the class, asking if anyone is late. She's got that "I'm about to ruin your day" energy. They announce that the magic and night departments are holding joint classes from now on. The real training starts today. The assistants start handing out maps to all the students. Fernand is already scanning his for any strategic advantages. Professor Rosalia casts a massive teleportation spell. A glowing blue magic circle engulfs the entire hall. They announce that from now on, the students will be thrown into a field exercise. Hope they packed a lunch, because things are about to get messy. Anto explains that they have 4 hours to reach the destination marked on their maps. Arrive too early or too late, and you fail. It's a test of timing, navigation, and endurance. They're basically being dropped into a wilderness survival game. Students start asking the important questions, like if this will be reflected in their grades, spoken like a true overachiever. The professors confirm it's the most important grade after the exams. Oh, and bonus points if you capture other teams. It's a battle royale. A blinding flash of purple light hits as the exercise officially begins. The professors wish them luck and vanish, leaving the students to fend for themselves. Fernand and Luina find themselves in a dense forest. The air is fresh, but the tension is already building. They're standing on a cliffside, trying to figure out where the hell they were just dumped. Luina checks the map, looking for any landmarks that can tell them which way is north. They immediately spot another team nearby. It's Jane Hux and Ned Palin, a couple of lower-ranked scraps, as Fernand calls them. Luina asks what they should do. She's looking to Fernand for magical backup, but he's already checking their stats in his head. The poor scraps are offended by being called scraps. They've got no idea they're about to be the first points on the board. Fernand usually likes to walk away from small fry, but he's decided to play this exercise by the rules today. He tells Luina he'll follow her decision completely. She's pleased, getting a rare moment of leadership. She draws her sword, ready to secure those first bonus points. She's been itching for a fight since they landed. Luina asks if there's any magic that can tell them their exact location. Fernand just gives her a deadpan look. He meant they should get to high ground and look around. He's the brains, she's the brawn. It's a perfect, if slightly annoyed, partnership. They start bickering about map reading. Luina thinks looking around is the same as looking at the map. Logic isn't her strongest suit today. The scraps decide to take their chance and run. They aren't stupid enough to fight rank 2 and 10 head-on. Luina isn't letting them go that easily. She performs a perfect aerial flip, closing the gap in a single leap. The two students scream as Luina's sword comes down like a hammer. They didn't even have time to draw their weapons. A massive pillar of blue light erupts as Luina's strike connects with the ground. The impact is so strong, it creates a literal crater. Luina really isn't holding back today. Their name tags fly out of their pockets, glowing with magical energy. That's 2 more teams eliminated from the running. The scraps are shaking on the ground, complaining that she slammed them down like she was trying to kill them and asking if she calls that going easy. Elimination notices for Jane Hux and Nate Pillen flash in the sky. The first blood of the exercise has been drawn. Professor Anto watches the progress from the monitoring room. He's surprised at how fast the teams are getting knocked out. Rosalia notes that it's all conflict among the students. No one's even been taken out by the local monsters yet. They're monitoring the top pairs. Ludger and Alon are expected to be strong, but there's one pair that's drawing the most attention. The pair of Verena Burchev and Fernand Pellenberg. They're causing a massive stir among the faculty and the students. Anto wonders why someone as talented as Verena would settle for pairing with a moneyhound like Fernand. He thinks Fernand is a disadvantage, but Rosalia just smirks. She knows something the other professors don't. She says there's probably another reason Fernand paired with her, and it definitely isn't to boost his grades. Rosalia knows Fernand can raise his grades anytime he wants. She has been watching him closely and has seen through his average student act. Anto is confused. Fernand has always been 10th place no matter what. He's the definition of a consistent B student. Rosalia points out that it's actually too strange to never miss 10th place. That level of precision requires intentional effort. His written exams are perfect, but he always loses just enough points in the practicals to stay exactly at the bottom of the top dorm. Anto's jaw drops as he realizes Fernand's been hiding his true skills this whole time. The kid's been playing them for years. She brings up the training grounds getting smashed recently. The culprit was supposedly unknown, but she's linked it back to Fernand and Luina. Anto can't believe students had the skill to destroy a magically reinforced arena. He's starting to rethink everything he knows about Fernand. Rosalia is more curious about why he stopped hiding his skills now. The money demon is finally stepping out of the shadows. The sun is shining over the exercise area, but for some students, the storm is just beginning. Back in the woods, Fernand and Luina are following the screams. It's like a beacon for bonus points. Fernand identifies the region as the Western Mountains. His internal GPS is working perfectly thanks to the prophecy. Luina is standing over another defeated pair. She's a one-woman army out here, and Fernand is just enjoying the show. He tells her they need to head northeast. She's glad to finally have a reliable navigator. Luina is ready to find the next pair immediately. She's got a taste for victory, and she's not stopping until they're rank 1. Suddenly, a massive burst of blue electrical energy erupts from the bushes. Someone's launching a sneak attack. A heavy boot lands on the ground. The next challenger has arrived, and he's not looking for a friendly chat. It's Carlos Deneve, the top-ranked student in the night department. He's glowing with blue lightning and looks absolutely furious. Luina is annoyed by the dishonorable sneak attack from behind. She's got zero respect for a top ranker using dirty tricks. Carlos just laughs it off, asking what's dishonorable in battle. He's fully committed to the real practice mindset. He stands there crackling with electricity, determined not to let them go after meeting them by fate. Fernand remembers that Carlos kept asking Luina to be his partner. He supposes his pride is hurt because he stole her from him. Carlos is fuming at the word stolen. He's a well-built guy, but his temper is clearly as short as a fuse. He tells them to cut the crap and come at him. He's ready to prove he's the better knight, even if he has to go through Fernand to do it. Fernand is actually happy about this. Catching a high-ranking pair means massive bonus points. It's time to stop spectating and get to work. He tells Luina he'll support her and to feel free to go all out. She gives him a look of deep distrust. She's seen his support before. He gives her a dark, confident grin, telling her they're a pair, so fighting separately is meaningless. Fernand tells her not to worry as he starts to channel his red magical energy, the ground beneath him cracking from the pressure. Carlos and his partner Alia look on, realizing that the easy target is about to turn into a nightmare. Fernand's eyes glow with a piercing red light as he tells her to trust him. He's about to show the top rankers why he's the most dangerous guy in the room. Professor Rosalia stops in her tracks as a massive surge of mana ripples through the air. Something big is going down in the trial zone. Instructor Anto Dern pinpoints the location to the Western Mountain region. He wonders if the students have already run into high-level monsters. Rosalia shuts that theory down immediately since monsters aren't supposed to spawn in that sector. She taps into the monitoring magic to get a live feed. The professors are stunned to see two of the most prominent high-ranking pairs are already locked in a full-blown battle. This is the matchup everyone was waiting for. Carlos is going all out from the jump, and Rosalia is leaning in, eager to see if Fernand finally drops the act and shows his true strength. A massive discharge of blue electricity absolute nukes the area. Carlos isn't pulling any punches for this friendly exercise. In the middle of the chaos, Luina realizes her body feels strangely light. She's moving with a speed she didn't know she had. She looks back and realizes Fernand is weaving complex support spells into his combat movements. The moneyhound is actually carrying her weight. Despite the high-speed combat, Fernand is multi-casting magic circles while dodging lightning bolts. This level of focus is insane. He catches Luina's eye with a confident smirk. He's been waiting for a chance to flex his actual technical skills. He winks at her in the middle of a war zone, asking if he's awesome. This dude's confidence is off the charts. Luina doesn't have time for his ego. She uses the speed boost to launch herself at Carlos's partner, Alia, like a guided missile. She knows they need to divide and conquer, shouting to subdue Alia first as she comes in hot with a vertical overhead strike. The impact kicks up a massive cloud of dust as the two knights collide in a shower of sparks and blue aura. Luina and Alia are deadlocked, blades grinding against each other. Alia is struggling to keep up with Luina's buffed-up strength. Carlos isn't just standing there watching. He starts gathering a massive amount of electrical energy, his eyes glowing with static. He swings his staff, sending arcs of blue lightning coursing through the ground to cut off Luina's movements. Luina is suddenly blindsided as a ring of mana circles her feet. Carlos set a trap while she was focused on Alia. She tries to swing her sword, but the lightning is already crawling up her blade and into her arms. She's completely paralyzed by the lightning chains, unable to move her body. This is a bad spot for a knight to be in. Alia smirks, thinking they've already won. She prepares a point-blank aura strike to finish Luina off while she's incapacitated. Alia lunges forward, her blade glowing with a lethal amount of energy, shouting that she's caught Luina. A blinding flash of red magic splits the screen. Something just shifted the entire battlefield. Alia's blade slams into a giant boulder. She nearly breaks her wrists, hitting a literal piece of the mountain. Carlos and Alia are left staring in confusion. They were seconds away from a victory, but now their target has vanished. Fernan is standing a few yards away, casually holding Luina up. He looks like he just pulled off the easiest trick in the world. Luina is completely bewildered. 1 second she was facing death, the next she's safely away from the blast zone. Fernan explains that his family recently developed a unique displacement magic. He figured it would be useful, so he learned it on a whim. Luina realizes the mechanic. It swaps 2 objects of the same weight instantly. It's the ultimate defensive switch. Then the realization hits her, and she asks how he knows her body weight. Her face is turning redder than Fernand's magic circles. Behind them, the boulder gets absolutely disintegrated by Carlos's follow-up lightning. That could have been Luina. Carlos is starting to get tilted. His unbeatable combo just got countered by a guy playing with rocks. Luina is more worried about her private data than the fight, vowing to find her student record and burn it to ashes. Fernan is begging for his life, asking her to be gentle. He's really struggling to handle the knight's physical wrath. He manages to push her back into the fight. He'll handle the magical support and Alia while Luina goes for round 2 with Carlos. Carlos is done playing games. He creates a massive, intricate blue magic circle that spans the entire area. Fernan knows this move from the Prophecy. Carlos's specialty is summoning lightning that pours down like rain. The sky opens up, and a massive pillar of light created by dozens of simultaneous lightning strikes descends on the battlefield. This is multicasting, on a level that shouldn't even be possible for a student. The destructive power is terrifying. Fernan isn't panicking. He's done his research on how to counter this specific high-tier magic. He starts digging into his coat. He pulls out 2 glowing blue mana orbs, wondering how effective they'll be. He's literally fighting with money now. He activates the artifacts, and a protective red dome starts to hum into existence around him. Carlos screams in rage as he directs the full force of the lightning rain directly at Fernan's position. Luina can only watch from the side as the entire area is engulfed in a blinding blue light. The pressure is heavy enough to crack the ground. A direct hit. The lightning pillar slams into Fernan with the force of a falling star. The impact area is completely covered in thick smoke and crackling static. It looks like total annihilation. Slowly, a silhouette appears through the dust. The magical pressure is still holding strong. Fernan is standing there, completely untouched, with a smug grin that says, "Is that all you've got?" Carlos's jaw is on the floor. He just used his ultimate move and did 0 damage, asking in disbelief how he blocked that. The 2 blue orbs drop to the ground, humming with leftover energy. They are high-capacity mana storage devices. Fernan admits he modified them to absorb incoming mana instead of just storing it. He notes it was expensive, but effective. Carlos starts crying foul, calling the use of artifacts cowardly and cheating. Fernan just smells a new business opportunity. Fernan hits him with his own logic from earlier, asking what's cowardly in battle. He's really enjoying this role reversal. He looks over at Luina, giving her the signal. The defense is done, now it's time for the counterattack. Carlos and Alia realize they are in deep trouble. Carlos is drained from his big spell, and Fernan still has plenty of mana left. Fernan gives the cold order to finish her. He wants those bonus points, and he wants them now. Luina ignites her aura, her blue energy flaring up to its maximum capacity. She's not missing this chance. She delivers a devastating finishing strike that sends Alia crashing into the distance. Carlos is officially a solo player now. The dust clears over the valley, leaving Fernan and Luina as the undisputed winners of the first major skirmish. From a distance, Prince Ludger is watching the whole thing through binoculars. He doesn't look happy about Fernan's true skills coming out. His henchman assumes Fernan just got lucky with artifacts, but Ludger knows better. He sees the tactical genius behind the move. He realizes Fernan was hiding his power to stay under the radar, but pairing with someone like Luina has forced him into the spotlight. Ludger is worried that if Fernan keeps this up, his rank will skyrocket and threaten the current social order of the academy. The prince is officially entering the game as a villain, deciding he can't just leave a potential rival be. He looks down at the other students with pure contempt. In his mind, everyone else is just a stepping stone to the throne. He tells his followers that as long as they follow his lead, they'll all rank high. He's building his own little army. He declares, however, that there is a pair that must be eliminated before then. He's got a target painted on Fernan's back now. The mission is clear: capture Fernan and Luina and break their momentum before they can reach the goal. Next time, it's a battle of the heavyweights. The top rankers are about to clash, and only one pair is walking away from this. Luina is absolutely tearing through the monsters as they approach their destination. This massive troll gets sliced clean in half in one move. She checks her map, noting that if they keep this pace up, they might actually finish the exercise in first place. While Luina is focused on the goal, Fernan is hanging back, busy with something much more important to him than a high grade. He's literally milking the dead troll for its blood. He explains that it's a key ingredient for high-level potions, so he's not letting it go to waste. Luina thinks he's being ridiculous since he's already a billionaire, but Fernan reminds her that money is money, no matter how small. He considers recruiting her as one of his most profitable deals yet. Luina just wants him to hurry up so they can keep moving. Fernan asks how many pairs they've already taken out. Luina confirms they've crushed 8 teams so far, which means massive bonus points. She thinks he's lost his mind obsessing over scores, but Fernan just laughs. He'd rather lose his mind over points than lose his wallet. Suddenly, the vibe changes. Luina senses something in the trees. Her night instincts are screaming that they aren't alone anymore. Fernan senses them too. There are at least 20 students surrounding them, and they aren't looking for a friendly chat. It feels like half the class teamed up to take down the top-ranked pair. They've officially been targeted by a mob. Shadowy figures leap from the forest, closing in on their position from every direction. It's an all-out ambush. The students charge in, clashing with the pair in a chaotic flurry of magic and steel. Things are getting messy fast. A massive knight drops from the sky with a heavy overhead strike. Luina manages to catch the blow, but the impact is huge. More students pile in, trying to overwhelm them with sheer numbers. They really want that money demon out of the game. Luina recognizes the leader of the group, Alon Donertz. He's the top ranker she's never been able to beat in a fair duel. They lock blades, blue and orange energy sparking as they push against each other. Alon isn't pulling any punches today. A massive explosion of aura blasts through the forest, knocking back the surrounding students. These two are on another level. They both skid back, catching their breath. Alon looks completely calm, while Luina is gritting her teeth in frustration. The energy between them is thick. The other students are basically just waiting for one of them to make a mistake. Luina focuses her aura. She knows she has the better equipment now, but Alon's technique is still legendary in the night department. Alon stares her down with a cold, analytical look. He sees her as a rival, but he still thinks he's the one destined to be the best. The swords meet again with a deafening screech. Sparks fly everywhere as they trade high-speed blows. It's a masterclass in swordsmanship. They're moving so fast that most of the students can't even follow the exchange. Prince Ludger is watching the whole thing from a safe distance, surrounded by his own circle of fire. He's enjoying the show. His eyes are fixed on Fernan, trying to figure out what the hidden master is going to do while his partner is busy. The forest floor gets absolutely shredded as Ludger unleashes a massive pillar of flame to clear out the riffraff. One student tries to take a swing at Fernan, but he's already ready with a counterspell. He's not as defenseless as they think. Ludger smirks through the flames. He loves a good power struggle, and he's ready to step in once everyone is tired out. Fernan just stares back, looking bored. He knows exactly what the prince is planning, and he's not falling for it. Ludger finally makes his grand entrance, fire swirling around him like a cape. He's making a statement that he's the real power here. He calls for everyone to stop, acting like he's trying to be a peaceful mediator when we all know he just wants the points. Fernan steps back, playing it off. I was just gonna stand back and watch, you know. He's letting Luina handle the physical labor. Ludger is annoyed that Fernan wiped out half of his following in a single flash. He tells him to tone it down a notch. Fernan just shrugs. He's here for that first-place rank, and he doesn't care whose pride he hurts to get it. Ludger finds it funny that moneyhound is trying to play king. He suggests they settle this peacefully since the test is almost over. There's less than an hour left. If they keep fighting now, no one is going to make it to the destination on time. Fernan thinks about it. A win-win deal is basically his love language. He's considering the prince's offer. Luina is having none of it. She'd rather lose a fight than take a handout from a guy like Ludger. Her pride is worth more than a grade. Ludger's fake nice smile slips for a second. He's not used to people saying no to his face, especially when he's the prince. Fine then. Let's see what you got, Fernan. He's ready to end the negotiations and start the real fireworks. Fernan just chuckles. That can wait for next time. He knows a bad deal when he sees one and decides to bounce. Flashback to the test. Fernan sets a massive trap, the red glowing magic circle catching a whole group of students. The ground cracks open and massive rocks explode upward. Fernan isn't just a merchant, he's a tactical monster on the field. He clears a path through the enemy ranks, red magic sparks flying as he moves with absolute precision. The other students are panicking. It's a trap. Everyone run. They finally realized who they were messing with. A massive impact rocks the area as the trap completes. The students are effectively removed from the game. Fernan just turns to Luina with a simple smile. Alright, shall we get going? He's ready to claim his reward. The test finally ends. The students are gathered at the main gate, most of them looking like they crawled through a war zone. Instructor Anto Dern steps up to the podium. It's time for the official rankings to be read out in front of the whole school. First place, Ruina Bershev and Fernan Pellenberg. The crowd goes absolutely silent. The underdogs actually pulled it off. Second place goes to the royal team of Ludger and Alon. They look like they want to set the forest on fire again. Luina is genuinely stunned. She really didn't expect to take the top spot from the department's aces. Fernan just smirks at her. He's feeling pretty good about himself right now. First place is first place, right? Strategy successful. Luina gives him a small nod of respect. Maybe this partnership isn't so bad after all. Anto tells everyone to head back to the academy and not to wander off. The exercise is officially over. Students are already gossiping about Armian. Even though he wasn't in their sector, his performance is the talk of the school. Luina mentions she actually ran into Aint the other night. She describes him as interesting. The second she mentions his name, Fernan feels a sharp, electric pain behind his eyes. It's happening again. He stumbles, clutching his head as a massive wave of prophecy memories starts flooding his brain. Another hidden part of the future is revealed. Aint is standing before Luina under a moonlight sky. Please be my knight. Aint extends his hand, offering her a role by his side in the coming war. But in this timeline, Luina doesn't take his hand. She turns him down, and the story begins to shift in a dangerous direction. The sky turns a deep, bloody red. A monstrous evil starts to target Aint as he walks his lonely path. But then, a resolute knight stands in the demon's way. It's Luina. She changed her mind. I turned you down then, but not anymore. Now I know who you are and what you're fighting for. This is my destiny. Luina becomes both the sword and the shield that protects the chosen hero from his enemies. She charges directly at a high-level demon named Andromalius. A brilliant blue aura flares up around her as she enters the fight. Fernan is watching this in his head, horrified at how much the story keeps changing because of his actions. The vision shifts to Luina in a hospital bed. She's covered in bandages and looks like she's on death's door. Aint is sitting next to her, tears streaming down his face. His grief is quickly turning into something much darker. Those bastards trying to bring you and the Bershev family down. It's the Pellenbergs, isn't it? Those filthy rich bastards. Aint is fueled by pure rage. This is the exact moment he swears to destroy House Pellenberg and everyone in it. Fernan is internally screaming at his future self. His investments are about to lead to a very bloody end. He snaps back to reality, looking at the real Luina who's standing right in front of him. He's completely dazed. The professors and Luina are hovering over him, asking if he's all right. He suddenly collapsed and they're worried about his health. Fernan tries to shake it off. No, I'm fine, really, but the sweat on his face says otherwise. Anto Durin laughs it off, thinking Fernan just overexerted himself using so much magic earlier. If only he knew. Fernan realizes this is how the hero Armian becomes his sworn enemy. It's all coming together. Still, why did I suddenly get another prophecy? Everything was about Ruina again. If the prophecy is correct, then that guy, the one who causes his downfall, is already moving into position. The image of the demon looms over his mind. One of the 72 is really going to descend into this world soon. Hyde greets the young master as he returns from the academy, congratulating him on securing first place in the recent test. Fernan is absolutely drained, saying he used up way too much energy during the trial. Hyde tells him to get some sleep. The carriage clatters along the road toward Lebitus Hall, the top-tier housing for the academy's elite. Fernan dives back into the info he gained from the strange soul. The 72nd demon, Andromalius, is described as a guy with black hair, black eyes, and a snake around his arm. He repeats the name, Andromalius, wondering when this threat will actually show up and wreck his life. In this era, demons are treated like scary stories for kids. The first emperor supposedly wiped them all out a millennium ago. Since that war, they haven't been seen a single time, so the public thinks the world is perfectly safe. Fernan figures the main character, Aint, will handle it eventually, but he's still worried about the collateral damage. He recalls the vision of Luina lying badly injured after a brutal battle with the demon lord. He debates whether to warn her, but doubts she'd even believe a word he says. He'd just sound like a nutcase. Back at the academy, Luina walks alongside him, asking if he's really okay after his sudden collapse earlier. He ignores her concern and asks if she believes in the existence of demons. Luina is understandably confused. She says of course she does, given the Empire's history, but she's not expecting to meet one during lunch. He pushes further, asking what she'd think if he said they still exist today. Luina just stares at him like he's lost his mind. She asks if he hit his head during training. Fernan is just done with trying to be helpful at this point. He needs a way to convince her, and he needs some actual physical evidence of a demon to prove he isn't crazy. He checks the prophecy again. Exactly 1 month from now, Aint is scheduled to defeat Varen Calberdin in a training match. The fight is going to be a total stomp, firmly establishing Aint as the Academy's rising star. Prince Ludger will be watching from the sidelines, losing all faith in his red-haired henchman. Varen loses everything, his reputation, his honor, and the prince's backing. The guy hits rock bottom fast. In his moment of absolute rage and despair, a demon finds its way into his heart and takes control. This will be the first indirect appearance of a demon, and Fernan plans to use it to get some serious leverage. But there's a catch that's bothering him as he thinks it through. The prophecy is still a bit blurry. He doesn't know the specifics of the possession. He's stuck staring at a blank spot in his memories, wondering how to trigger the next part. Meanwhile, the whole school is buzzing with rumors about Fernan hiding his true power and his weirdly sudden partnership with Luina. Over at Ain's place, the ghost gardener is trashing Fernan, saying Luina did all the heavy lifting in that test. Gardner tells Ain not to compare a Bershev to a Pellenberg. Bershevs were the only ones brave enough to stand with the old emperors 1,000 years ago. He rants that the world is ending because people value money over actual martial honor these days. Old man yells at clouds, essentially. Suddenly, Gardner gets a brilliant idea and tells Ain't to go ask that rich kid for some cash since his gear is looking rough. Ain't is horrified by the suggestion. Gardner thinks Fernan being nice is just a trap to get a connection to the Armian lineage. He explains the classic Pellenberg strategy: build trust, lower the target's guard, and then snatch them into their grasp. Ain't points out his family is already ruined and has nothing left to steal, so why would a billionaire even bother? Gardner yells at him for being self-aware and tells him to just use the guy and move on with his life. Ain't doesn't think Fernan is acting with ulterior motives, which just frustrates the blue ghost even more. He remembers Fernan giving him that potion earlier. He thinks those eyes are genuinely worried, not calculating. He's convinced the senior really cared about his well-being in that moment. Main character syndrome is setting in. He refuses to ask for money, saying trust can't be bought and it would be a dishonorable move. Gardner is losing it. The kid is frustratingly stubborn. The generation gap is real here. He argues that even the former emperor said having a rich backer was a massive advantage. He orders Ain't to stop talking back and go find the rich kid right now. Gardner is sure Fernan is just sitting there waiting for Ain't to show up and ask for favors. Ain't actually goes to the estate but hesitates at the gate. He's really not feeling the beggar role. Hyde meets him and gives him the cold shoulder, saying the master is way too busy with guild business for unannounced visits. Ain't tries to pull the name card, but the staff doesn't care who he is. Hyde goes inside and returns, telling him Fernan said he's busy and to try again later. Aya is stunned by the rejection. Ain't turns around and walks away, feeling like an idiot for listening to the ghost. He's embarrassed that he even bothered the guy, thinking there's no way Fernan would react like this. Fernan is watching him from the window, totally satisfied. He thought the bait might have been too weak, but Ain't actually bit. He praises Hyde for a job well done. This is all part of his master plan for psychological dominance. Fernan knows Ain't is high pride and won't ask for help easily, so he's playing the hard-to-get game. He sent him back to make sure that when they finally talk, Ain't truly trusts his generosity. Hyde wonders if it's worth this much effort for a fallen royal descendant. Fernan knows Ain't is a diamond in the rough. Hyde is worried they'll lose him, but Fernan assures him he's leaving a massive opening for Ain't to come back. He tells Hyde to go to the family warehouse and clear out all the high-end elixirs. He's going to give Ain't the most expensive stuff they have, believing there's nothing that can't be achieved with enough cash. That sinister grin is back. Fernan is fully leaning into his money demon persona here. Back at the academy dorms, the moon is out and it's time for the special delivery. Ain't gets a box and a note from the Pellenberg butler. Gardner is shocked he actually reached out first. The note is from Fernan Sunbay, and it's a gift to apologize for being busy earlier. Top-tier manipulation. Gardner is fuming that this punk keeps calling himself a Sunbay like he's some kind of hero. Ain't opens the box and is immediately blinded by a radiant, golden light. Gardner is yelling in the background, demanding to see what's inside the chest. It's the heart of a Saint Bird. This isn't just an elixir, it's a legendary artifact worth a literal fortune. The Saint Bird is a sacred creature of light, making this elixir perfect for the Armian sword style. Ain't is nearly in tears. He can't believe someone would give him something so priceless for nothing in return. Ain't has stars in his eyes now, vowing to work even harder to repay his Sunbay's expectations. Bro really just bought the protagonist's loyalty with one gift. Fernan is chilling in his fancy chair, asking for the result of the academy fights. He looks way too relaxed for a guy whose future depends on a teenager with a magic sword. Hyde reports that Ain Armian crushed Varen Calburton. Not a surprise given the script, but still huge news for the school rankings. Apparently, Varen actually had the better technique, but Ain's raw aura was just too overwhelming. Fernan realizes his gift worked a little too well. Hyde wonders if it was thanks to that priceless elixir, and Fernan just smirks. He knows he basically handed the kid a legal cheat code. Hyde thinks Ain't would have won anyway, but Fernan knows the margin would have been way thinner without his help. He's building a hero from the ground up. Just like the prophecy said, Ain't came out on top. But the real problem isn't the win, it's what happens to the guy who lost. Varen is about to get possessed by something nasty. This is the perfect chance for Fernan to finally get some physical proof that demons are real. Fernan needs to know the exact where and how of Varen meeting the demon. He's going full detective mode on this case. He needs to track Varen's every move and see how the demon lures him in. Information is the only currency that matters right now. Hyde is clearly concerned. He wants to know how a demon that vanished 1,000 years ago could suddenly find its way back to the world. Vernon's eyes are glowing red. He's locked in on this objective and tells Hyde he needs to know everything. The reports start coming in. Varen was training, then suddenly rushed to the bathroom clutching his stomach. Well, that's one way to start a villain arc. 2 weeks pass and absolutely nothing happens. Varen's just living his life, and frighteningly, there's zero demonic activity. This isn't right. Vernon is losing sleep because the script is going off track. The suspense is actually killing him. He wonders if the prophecy was actually wrong about the demon possession. Maybe the guy just has a really bad case of irritable bowel syndrome. If the most important part about the demon is fake, he'd have to reconsider the reliability of the entire prophecy. That would be a massive L. He remembers the fight Varen lunging at Ain't in a fit of pure frustration after being humiliated in public. The winner was decided before it even began. Ain't was just way too calm, and Varen was playing right into his hands. Varen couldn't accept losing to an opponent he'd already defeated once before. His pride is officially in the gutter. Ain't had the ghost of the greatest teacher, Gardner, by his side. Against that kind of backup, Varen never stood a chance. Ain't walked away, leaving the broken Varen behind in the dirt. Cold move, but that's main character energy for you. But what Ain't didn't know was that demonic energy was already starting to consume Varen's body and mind. It's starting. Vernon bolts upright in bed, covered in sweat. He must have fallen asleep. These visions are getting more intense. He's seeing prophecies in his sleep now. His brain is basically a 24/7 horror movie trailer at this point. The new vision was specific. Varen gets possessed after losing again during the midterm exams. He checks the date. The first-year night department practical exam is happening right now. It was clear that Ain't wasn't just lucky. He was being carried by an ancient master. Vernon needs to be there to see the fallout. Hyde walks in to find the master already up, suggesting he should have breakfast. Vernon is already geared up, telling Hyde it's perfect timing. He's not interested in pancakes, he's interested in demons. Hyde says he has to go to the Duke's estate instead. Vernon needs an escort, so he's stuck finding a last-minute sub. Vernon decides he'll take someone else. Hyde is confused, wondering who else would be willing to put up with Vernon's nonsense. He goes to a friend he bought with money. Yeah, Vernon really needs to work on his social skills if that's his only option. He finds Luina and asks for an escort. She thinks he just wants to go gathering expensive elixirs in the woods again. He claims he has to go now, or the effect will fade. He's putting on the pressure because he knows the exam is starting. He offers to waive a few more months of her debt if she comes. Luina's like, say no more, let's go. Works every time. She wants to know where they're actually going. He replies that it's the northern mountain region. Luina panics when she realizes that's the exam site. Trespassing on a first-year exam is a great way to get expelled. She's worried about school rules, but Vernon reminds her that there's nothing in this world money can't buy. He admits he bribed Professor Grad. Luina is just disgusted by how shamelessly he operates. Suddenly, Luina stops. She's reconsidering the whole illegal entry thing and wants to head back to the dorms. Vernon is baffled. He told her it would be over soon, and now she's changing her mind. He hits her with the honor card, asking if she, a knight, is going back on her word. It actually lands. She admits it's not that, she just forgot to bring her sword. Peak knight performance right here, folks. Vernon just stares blankly, telling her to go get it quickly. He's used to dealing with high-maintenance partners by now. They finally arrive and start sneaking through the woods. They need to hide so the actual professors don't spot the intruders. Vernon is fully aware that wandering around openly would be a problem. He's trying to stay stealthy while Luina judges him. He's mocking her moral high ground, calling her a good kid while they're both literally hiding in bushes. He checks the rankings. Ain't is currently sitting in second place. Everything is lining up with the prophecy. He sees on the map that Ain't is very close to Varen, who's ranked third, and wonders if they've already clashed. He tells her to follow him. He's using a professor's map he definitely shouldn't have. This kid is a walking rule violation. Luina is fuming, asking just how much he bribed Professor Grad to get that map. She's starting to realize the depth of his pockets. He tells her to just follow him quietly. He's focused on the mission and doesn't have time for her ethical crisis. Suddenly, they hear a noise. Luina freezes, sensing a monster's cry. The atmosphere just got a lot heavier. A blood-curdling scream rips through the forest. Fernand's eyes widen. That's definitely a student in trouble. That's where the first years are. Luina bolts toward the sound, her hero instincts overriding her common sense. Vernon yells at her to wait, warning her it's dangerous to go alone. But she's already a blur in the trees. He chases after her, his cape flapping as he dashes through the foliage. Things are escalating way faster than planned. They find a student unconscious. He looks like he was attacked by a monster, but the defensive magic on his map kept him from being mangled. Something's wrong. Monsters in this area are usually weak, but these guys were taken out by something ferocious. Vernon curses. It started much sooner than he thought. He might have missed the window to check Baron's condition. Suddenly, a massive surge of dark energy explodes nearby. The pressure is heavy enough to make the air vibrate. Luina is paralyzed with fear, asking Fernand what in the world that is. She can feel the pure malice coming from the center of the blast. A shadowy, monstrous figure looms through the trees. The demon possession wasn't a myth after all. The headlines would call it a monster attack, but the truth is way worse. The world-ending threats are officially here. Luina and Fernan are wandering through the dense forest, and she's starting to get real nervous, asking where on earth they are. Suddenly, Luina notices something off. She hears heavy footsteps approaching fast from the shadows. A massive troll lunges out of the trees, looking like it hasn't eaten in a week. Luina doesn't hesitate. She draws her blade and slices the monster's arm clean off in a single motion. The troll's arm hits the ground, but there's a weird lack of blood. Something is definitely wrong here. Despite losing a limb, the beast keeps coming. Luina is floored, wondering why it isn't stopping. The troll's eyes are glowing a sinister red. It doesn't even seem to feel the pain of having its arm chopped off. It lets out a guttural roar right in Luina's face. This thing is pure nightmare fuel. The troll swings its remaining arm, smashing everything in its path. It's total chaos in the clearing. The ground literally shatters under the weight of the monster's strikes. Fernan finally decides to stop spectating and raises his staff. Time to show this overgrown tooth fairy some magic. Massive earth spikes erupt from the ground, skewering the troll from every angle. The troll gets absolutely shredded by the earth magic. Fernan really doesn't play around when he gets serious. Luina uses the opening to jump back into the air, ready for a finishing blow. She delivers a horizontal slash that would normally end any monster, but the troll just stands there. Luina lands gracefully, but she's panting. This fight is taking way longer than it should. She asks Fernan what on earth that is. He explains that the monster has gone berserk and can't feel pain anymore. The troll towers over them, looking more like a demon than a regular monster. These things are obsessed with killing anything they see. Luina wonders why the hell a normal monster would suddenly go berserk. Fernan recalls the prophecy mentioning demons causing this chaos. He sees a vision of Barian attacking Ain't with demonic power. The butterfly effect is starting to cause some serious ripples. The troll prepares to charge again. Fernan thinks that problems always arise simultaneously, just like in crappy dramas. Luina sees Fernan smirking and loses it, asking why he's laughing when she asked why it's going crazy. Fernan ignores her and focuses more power into his staff. He's got a plan to end this quickly. He tells Luina they need to take care of this persistent bastard before moving on to the main event. Suddenly, the map in Fernan's hand disintegrates into dust. The test conditions are changing. Flashback to Barian falling to his knees, humiliated by Ain't once more. Ain't stands over him, looking totally unimpressed. The power gap between them is wider than Barian's ego. Ain't starts walking away, but Barian screams after him that this isn't over yet. Ain't stops and looks back with those cold protagonist eyes, telling Barian it's over and it's his loss. Barian's face is a mask of pure, concentrated hatred. He repeats to himself that he has to win. He remembers the prince's disappointment. Ludger's expectations were high, and Barian just failed him again. His father's voice echoes in his head, calling him a pathetic fool and comparing him to his brother. Talk about family trauma. Barian is drowning in despair. If he fails this exam, he loses his position as the family heir. He's got nothing left to lose. He clenches his fist so hard his glove creaks. This time, he must defeat Ain't Armian. He launches a desperate, high-speed lunge. It's a move born from pure frustration. Barian drops from the sky like a comet, putting every ounce of his weight into the strike. Ain't notices the attack at the last second. He's got that "I'm the main character" smugness down perfectly. Barian's face is twisted in a demonic snarl. He's officially crossed the line from rival to villain. The two clash, creating a massive dome of light and energy that blasts the surrounding forest. Barian is back on the ground, defeated again. Ain't looks down at him, noting how weak he is, and yet he can't accept defeat with grace. The blue ghost gardener pops up, calling Barian a disgraceful bastard who lost his chivalry. He wants Ain't to just end him. Ain't walks away, reminding the ghost that this is an exam, not a death match. He grumbles for the ghost to say something that makes sense. Fernan watches the scene from afar, thinking the same thing. The logic of protagonists is always a bit weird. A giant troll foot slams down right near the pair. This thing is not going away quietly. Luina is fed up, telling Fernan they need to forget the elixir and just get out of here before the instructors have to rescue them. Fernan refuses to budge. He's not leaving that valuable troll elixir behind for anything. Luina thinks he's officially gone insane. He tells her the monsters are persistent, but they aren't immortal. He's got that merchant greed working as his motivation. Luina asks if he actually predicted all this chaos. Fernan sweats and denies it, wondering how he could have possibly predicted this. Luina asks if the elixir is really more important than his life. Fernan just gives her a, well, obviously look. He screams that the elixir is more important as he sprints ahead. He's a man on a mission. Luina is absolutely losing it, calling him a crazy bastard. She's stuck following the billionaire into a death zone. They reach the clearing where Barian was fighting Ain't. The air feels heavy and wrong. Fernan looks around and realizes the fight is already over. He's a bit too late to stop the first part of the prophecy. Luina spots someone on the ground and rushes over, but Fernan panics, yelling at her not to get close. Luina stops and turns back, recognizing it's Varian Calburden. She thought he was pretty skilled. Close-up of Varian. He looks pale, and there's a dark mist leaking off him. Luina insists on helping him, thinking he just passed out from the fight. Fernan is screaming at her to get away from him. She says they can't just leave him, or the monster might find him. She really is too heroic for her own good. Luina reaches out to pick up the unconscious Varian, totally oblivious to the danger. Her eyes widen as she feels a sudden, ice-cold chill. Something is very, very wrong with this guy's body. She jumps back as a massive burst of dark energy explodes from Varian's body. She's shaking, wondering what this aura is. She's never felt anything this malicious before. Varian starts to twitch. His face is hidden by his hair, but he's leaking pure darkness now. Fernan steps forward, looking grave. He tells her it's demonic energy, the kind that demons emit. He confirms the worst-case scenario. Varian Calburden has been possessed by a demon. The first boss of the apocalypse has arrived. Varian stands up, his armor cracking as his body begins to mutate into something non-human. Next time, Varian's rampage. Things are about to get very bloody in the night department. Varian is completely losing it. According to the prophecy, this demonized version was supposed to target Ayent, but things are going off the rails fast. Check out those eyes. There's zero humanity left in there, just pure demonic rage and a thirst for blood. Luina is understandably losing her mind. She can't believe a literal demon just body-snatched a student and is now coming for them. Fernan stays calm, analyzing the situation. He knows that once the eyes go that dark, the old Varian is long gone. Luina is ready to jump in and stop him, but Fernan stops her. He's got that "I have a plan" look that usually ends up being expensive or illegal. He tells her to just hold out for 10 minutes. 10 minutes against a demon? Fernan really expects a lot from his partner. Before she can even argue, Fernan uses his displacement magic and vanishes into thin air. Bro literally just left her to solo a boss. Varian lunges with a terrifying roar, and Luina is left screaming at the empty air where her partner used to be, calling him a total bastard. She tries to reach whatever is left of Varian, but he's just a screaming shell of a human now. No talk, only murder. The clash is brutal. Luina is forced to use her aura just to block his initial strikes, and the ground is already catching fire. Blades lock and sparks fly everywhere. Luina can feel the demonic pressure trying to crush her spirit along with her sword. She's shocked at how strong he is. Demon tier buffs are the real deal, and Luina is feeling every bit of it. She realizes that if she doesn't find a way to counter his raw power, she's going to get pushed back and cornered. Varian swings with enough force to shatter boulders. Luina parries, but she can feel her bones rattling with every impact. She skids across the grass, barely managing to keep her balance as the demonic energy rips up the turf around her. Varian isn't letting up. He's already in the air, coming down for a strike that looks like it could split a mountain. He screams, "Ain't Armian's name," as he strikes. Even possessed, this guy's grudge is the only thing driving him. The impact is massive. A giant crater opens up where Luina was standing just a second ago. Varian manages to grab Luina's sword hilt with his bare hand. This guy's grip is like a hydraulic press now. He rips the sword right out of her hands and tosses it into the distance. Not a great day for Luina's honor. A follow-up kick sends her flying into the trees. Varian is moving way faster than any human student should be able to. Varian lands in a feral crouch, his eyes glowing brighter. He looks like he's having the time of his life being a monster. Luina somehow gets back to her feet, her aura flaring up in a final, desperate burst of energy. She's not done yet. Varian lets out another blood-curdling scream. He's definitely ready for round 2. They charge at each other again, their respective auras creating a whirlpool of blue and purple light in the forest. They lock arms this time, a pure test of strength that Luina is unfortunately losing. A massive pillar of energy erupts from their clash, blasting the clouds away and shaking the entire island. One of them is still standing in the crater after the dust settles. It's looking pretty grim for our night. Luina is completely gassed. She's panting, her aura flickering as she realizes her tank is almost empty. She's wondering what to do. At this rate, her aura will run out in no time, and she's checking the clock, wondering where Fernan is. Varian looms over her, his dark presence casting a shadow that feels like literal death. End of the line. Suddenly, Fernan pops up behind her and calls her over. Talk about perfect timing for a support main. Varian lets out a final roar as he prepares to finish her off, completely ignoring Fernan's return. Varian lunges, but he's stopped mid-air by a sudden magical pulse. The trap is officially set. Fernan grabs Luina and tells her to move quickly. He didn't run away, he was just setting up the stage for a grand finale. Luina is still fuming, asking why on earth he ran away. Fernan's reply is simple, because he's a demon. Solid logic. Luina keeps yelling, but Fernan just sighs. He knows she's just stressed from almost getting deleted by a possessed classmate. He explains that he set up a trap to subdue him, because subduing a demon requires a lot more than just good vibes and teamwork. Vernon steps on the final trigger, thinking it should be about time he falls for it. A massive red magic circle erupts from the earth, pinning Varen in place with overwhelming gravity. Varen is screaming in the center of the trap as red lightning and earth energy try to crush the demonic presence out of him. Pillars of flame and magical circles surround him. Vernon really went for the premium subscription package on this trap. The entire area turns into a fiery furnace. It looks like a miniature sun just exploded in the forest. Luina is actually worried now, asking what he will do if Calburden dies from that. She's still got too much of a heart. Vernon just looks at her with a blank stare, telling her he's not going to die and to just look. He knows the HP pool on his bosses is insane. Varen is still standing, looking even more pissed off than before. The trap only served to make the demon energy inside him flare up harder. Vernon realizes that normal traps aren't going to cut it. He's forced to pull out the high-tier stuff he was saving for the final exam. He pulls out a glowing red mana stone and starts reciting an ancient incantation. Time to drop the hammer. The magical pressure doubles. Even Luina can feel the weight of Vernon's mana as he prepares his final move. He activates a massive red magic circle above Varen. This is a top-tier containment spell that costs more than Luina's family debt. A beam of pure, concentrated energy shoots down from the sky, slamming into Varen like an orbital strike. The demonic energy finally dissipates under the pressure. Varen drops to the ground, unconscious and finally human again. Vernon lets out a sigh of relief. The operation is a success. Victory tastes like expensive magic circles. Luina asks if it was really necessary to use such expensive items. She's already calculating how many parfaits that redstone could have bought. Vernon reminds her that the guy was a demon. You don't take down world-ending threats with low-grade equipment, Luina. He explains that even the hero ain't struggles before his awakening, so he was just doing his duty as a concerned citizen of the Empire. Suddenly, Vernon stops talking. His face goes completely pale as his brain finally catches up with his wallet. Wait, he realizes Luina could have handled him solo if he just buffed her. He didn't need to use those super expensive artifacts at all. He's having a full financial meltdown, realizing he was so fixated on the word demon that he forgot what was truly important, his money. Luina is genuinely confused. She notices he's lost focus in his eyes and asks if he's okay. No, Luina, he's definitely not okay. Varen starts twitching again. He's not fully out and he's trying to crawl towards Vernon for one last swing. Varen lets out a final, pathetic roar. He's completely drained, but his body is still trying to fight the possession. Frustrated about his wasted gold, Vernon just delivers a solid punch to Varen's face to keep him quiet. Varen falls back, officially out for the count. Vernon looks like he wants to cry over his bank statement. The crisis is over, but at what cost? Vernon and Luina stand over the fallen student, waiting for the instructors to show up. Varen stares into the recording sphere, watching his demon-possessed self like it's a horror movie he didn't sign up for. The realization is hitting him hard. He tries to deny it, but Vernon isn't having it. He points out that the recording sphere doesn't lie. It records everything exactly as it happened. Varen admits his memory is a complete blank after the fight with Ain't. Luina watches as Vernon gives a very grim history lesson. Varen is spiraling. He's never even seen a demon, so he doesn't get how or why he would be the one to get possessed. Vernon leans in close, dropping the friendly act for a second. He reminds Varen that the proof is sitting right there in the palm of his hand. Flashback to the chaos. Vernon reminds him he was hit head-on by magical bombs, arrows, and pillars of fire. It's a miracle he's still in one piece. Vernon explains that the only reason Varen survived was because the demonic energy acted like a shield. If he were a regular human, he'd be toast. Then comes the bill. Vernon lists out all the expensive artifacts he had to waste just to stop Varen's rampage. Varen looks like he's about to have a heart attack. Vernon adds immense mental trauma to the invoice too. He's really laying on the guilt trip to make sure Varen feels completely indebted to him. He slides a piece of paper across the table and tells him what he has to do is simple. It's time for Varen to sign his life away. Varen and Luina both look at the terms, and the atmosphere in the room gets real heavy, real fast. Varen realizes this isn't just an apology note, it's a literal slave contract. He's thinking being possessed might have been less stressful than dealing with Vernon. Vernon acts offended that Varen doesn't appreciate his kindness. He threatens to handle the matter by the book if Varen doesn't play ball. He grabs the recording sphere and threatens to take it straight to the Inquisitors. That's the nuke option in this world. The Inquisitors are the Emperor's personal demon hunters. If they get their hands on a kid who was possessed, mercy isn't in their vocabulary. 1,000 years ago, they were the ultimate power, but now they're just a relic looking for any excuse to get back into the spotlight. Vernon knows the Inquisitors would be delighted to find a real demon-possessed student. It's exactly the kind of evidence they need to reclaim their authority. Varen is desperate now, shouting that he has nothing to do with demons. Too bad the video evidence says otherwise, buddy. Fernan reminds him of the consequences, expulsion from the academy and being disowned by his family. He's painting a very bleak picture of Varen's future. Varen looks completely broken. He realizes he's trapped between a demon and a money-obsessed mastermind. He picks up the pen with a trembling hand. The ink hits the paper, and Varen officially becomes an asset of House Pellenberg. He bows low, addressing Fernan as master, looking totally defeated. Fernan just sits back, satisfied with his new acquisition. Later, Fernan and Luina walk through the woods. Luina is still a bit weirded out by the whole slave contract thing and asks if they should have just told the teachers. Fernan explains that now is not the time. He wants to keep this quiet while he investigates why Varen was targeted in the first place. They still haven't figured out if Varen was a willing participant or just a puppet. There's a much bigger game being played here. Fernan suspects there's a traitor inside the academy who's actively colluding with demons. That red-eye glow means he's in deep thought mode. If the truth gets out, the conspirators will just go underground. He needs them to stay out in the open so he can hunt them down. Luina wonders why they would target students specifically. It seems like a lot of risk for relatively small targets. Fernan points out the obvious. The academy holds the Empire's future talent. Corrupting the students is the fastest way to destroy the Empire from the inside out. Luina gets that hero fire in her eyes again. She refuses to stand by and watch the Empire's future get destroyed by demonic influence. She tells Fernan he can call her any time if he needs help exterminating demons. She's fully committed to the cause now. Fernan smirks to himself. He's got the hero and the knight both under his thumb. The real fun starts now. Luina walks away, looking all noble, but the narrator knows the truth. She just made a foolish promise that Fernan is going to exploit for years. The academy is in chaos because of the monster rampage. The midterm practical exams for the first years get cancelled midway through. An urgent notice is posted. All practical exams are replaced with written ones due to safety concerns. This is a nightmare for the night department. The students are in absolute despair. Moving from sword swinging to essay writing is not what these kids signed up for. The library is packed. Everyone is burying their heads in books, trying to cram months of theory into a single week. For students who spent all their time on the training grounds, this written exam is a fate worse than fighting a troll. Ain't is struggling just as much as everyone else. Even a chosen hero can't escape the horror of a pop quiz. The entire school has shifted from combat mode to study mode. The silence in the halls is actually kind of eerie. Gardner, the blue ghost, pops up to offer some help. He thinks something is strange about the timing of the monster attack. He confirms that the rampage was definitely the work of a demon. He felt a faint but widespread demonic energy during the exam. Ain't is surprised that demons are actually appearing again. Gardner reminds him that's exactly why he was left behind to guide the hero. The first emperor knew this day would come. Gardner is the ultimate safety net for the Armian bloodline. Ain't keeps writing as Gardner drops another bomb. The demons are specifically targeting him. No pressure, kid. Ain't is shocked, asking why him. He's still trying to adjust to being the world's most wanted teenager. Gardner explains the history. The Armian family is the ultimate enemy of the demons. They won't stop until they wipe out the bloodline for good. Gardner tells him to never let his guard down. Ain't finally realizes his true role. He's the trigger that's going to set off the demon invasion. Night falls over Ravita's hall. The luxury dorm looks peaceful, but inside, things are anything but calm. Fernan is having another massive mental breakdown, feeling like his head is going to split. The prophecies are literally breaking his brain. Hyde rushes in to check on him. Fernan sees a new vision. The first-year survival field skills test is about to start. The students are going to be thrown into the southern forest for a full week. It's the ultimate test of their new abilities. Fernan sees a vision of Ain't near a lake and realizes it's the perfect opportunity. He's already found his next investment. The prophecy mentions a spiritual herb hidden in a lake that the former emperor placed there. That sounds like a lot of money to Fernan. Ain't arrives at the lake in the southern forest. He knows he has to find this specific spot if he wants to survive the test. He's moving carefully, lowering his presence so he doesn't attract any unwanted attention. He's found it. He stares at the placid water, realizing that this place is hidden by powerful protective magic. If you aren't looking for it, you'll never find it. His gaze shifts to a rock wall where a jewel-like blue liquid is flowing from a wound in the stone. That's the prize. Suddenly, Gardner warns him. A spiritual beast is guarding the area, acting like it owns the place, and tells him to run. The beast charges, and the area behind it collapses during the fight. Through the gap, massive mithril ores are revealed. Gardner is freaking out. It's a mithril vein. He orders Ain't to mine every single scrap of it. Mithril is the ultimate metal blessed by mana. It's also the only metal that can house a soul, which explains why Gardner is so interested. Back in the present, Fernan is shouting at the top of his lungs. He just saw the mithril reveal in his prophecy, and he's losing it. He clutches his head, trying to process the value of a mithril vein and a metal that can house a soul. He can practically smell the gold. Fernan goes full goblin mode. He's already decided that mithril belongs to him and nobody else. Luina is judging him hard while she eats her chocolate, questioning why he's going after a spiritual herb after saying it was a potion last time. She points out that they'll have to miss class for a whole week to go to the southern forest. She's the only one worried about grades right now. Fernan offers to pull strings to make up for the missed classes. Luina just hits him with a cold, "I won't do it." He offers to waive more of her family's debt interest, but she's still refusing. Luina's being surprisingly stubborn today. She thinks he's insane for wanting to skip a week of academy life just for a weed in a forest. Fernan gives up and decides to ask someone else. Just as he's about to leave, the door clicks open. A new character with red hair and a suspicious smile walks into the room, greeting Fernan as brother. The guy is glowing with a holy light, looking like a literal saint and wishing him the blessings of mana. Luina's face is basically a permanent question mark right now. She's staring at this new red-haired guy like he just dropped from another planet. Meet Jace Vines. He's got the bright, holy aura and a smile that screams, "I'm the secondary lead." He gives Luina a super polite greeting, but Fernan is just sitting there in the background looking like he's waiting for his coffee. Jace goes straight for the hung and asks how Fernan's been. Luina is just over here trying to enjoy her chocolate and figure out how these two know each other. She's not buying the friendly act and starts to question them, her eyes narrowed in total suspicion. Fernan looks completely bored while Jace keeps up that blinding saintly grin. Luina asks if they're close, which is honestly a fair question. Jace thinks the surprise is natural, but Fernan just sighs, saying it's understandable but only natural, which explains literally nothing. Luina isn't dropping it. She points out that there is absolutely nothing natural about Jace Vines being here. This guy is the saint of the Dragon God Church. He's practically a celebrity in holy circles, glowing like a literal sun. The chibi versions of them are hilarious. Jace is laughing while Fernan looks like he's reconsidering his life choices. We get a quick lore dump about the Dragon God Church. They used to worship ancient dragons who gifted magic to humanity. But over time, they ditched the dragons and started worshipping mana and magic itself. Basically, they're a high-powered mage organization now. Luina knows an archmage is the equivalent of a royal knight. She still doesn't get why a saint and a money demon are besties. Jace admits that running a massive church takes a ton of cash. Even saints have bills to pay, apparently. And who's the biggest bank in the empire? House Pellenberg. Fernan has been funneling church items into his guild for ages. Jace literally calls Fernan his savior and praises Pellenberg. The holy man is basically a corporate mascot at this point. He hits Luina with the "rich person is your elder" line. Technically he is older, but he's acting like a pampered little brother. Luina is just done. She's judging him so hard it's a miracle he hasn't caught fire yet, wondering if this guy is really a saint. Jace fakes a cry, saying that talk stings his gentle soul. The dramatic act is a 10 out of 10. They start laughing and chatting like old friends. Fernan's actually smiling, which is a rare sight. Luina realizes she's a third wheel and decides to head out, saying she gets what their relationship is now. Jace acts all disappointed, asking if she's leaving already. He's really trying to work that charisma. Luina isn't having it. She bids the saint goodbye and wishes him Mana's blessing. She's out of there. Once the door clicks shut, Fernan drops the pleasantries and asks why he called. Business mode activated. Jace gets close and whispers about gathering spirit herbs during the first year's field training. He needs Fernan's help. Jace is tempted by the loot, but Fernan thinks he's crazy for wanting to snatch it during an official academy event. Jace points out that with Fernan's skills, they could sneak in and grab it easily using the high ground approach. Fernan admits he'd do it if he could, but there's a massive problem. He hasn't pinpointed its exact location yet. We see a map of the southern forest. 7 lakes, underwater caves. It's a massive search area. Fernan has been channeling mana into the bottom of all 7 lakes for days, looking for a mithril vein, but coming up empty. He realizes the cave must be magically hidden. No ordinary detection method is going to find this stash. Sneaking in is going to be a nightmare with all the students around. But Fernan has a plan. Jace is going to sign up as a teaching assistant. Jace is shocked he can even get that position. Usually, the requirements for second-year assistants is super strict. Fernan just smirks, saying it's not against the rules, so he was able to get permission. Translation: I bought the school. They're sitting at the table, the deal nearly done. Fernan asks one last time if he's in. Jace gives him the finger circle. Okay, if Fernan promises to give him plenty of this, then he's all in. He's talking about that sweet Pellenberg gold. They draft a compensation document. Fernan calls him a thorough little bastard, and honestly, he isn't wrong. Cut to the southern forest. The first years are all lined up, looking like they're ready for summer camp. Ain't is there with the blue ghost gardener. They're going over the plan to find the spirit herb in Lake Farden. Ain't looks super focused. He knows this training is his chance to stand out. Suddenly, the crowd starts whispering about Fernan Sunbay being there. The celebrity is in the house. Ain't is confused. Why is a rich guy like Fernan working as a teaching assistant? There's no profit in that. A blonde girl with pigtails is all excited. She thinks he's just after the bonus points, but we know better. The instructor with the red beard bellows out that training starts in 30 minutes. Time to get into position. Ain't looks disappointed he didn't get to say hi. Gardner just scoffs, asking what he even likes about that spoiled rich guy. Fernan is getting ready in the shadows. He's putting on a cloak and looking like he's about to go on a secret mission. Jace asks for some blood and mana to activate the spell. Fernan looks like he's about to pass out already. The transformation completes. Fernan is glowing with a sinister red light. He looks like a totally different person. Jace is impressed with his own work and asks if it'll pass. He's really proud of this camouflage. Fernan is skeptical. He asks if Jace actually tricked the Pope with this spell. That's a bold claim. Flashback to the Pope looking super confused, muttering that this guy's not even human while Jace sings carols. It took the legendary mage a few hours to realize he was being played. If it worked on him, it'll work on anyone. Jace places his hand on the rock, testing the barrier and deciding that should be good enough. Fernan looks through the trees. He thinks Jace will be a big help to Ain't in the future, but something is bugging him. Strangely, there is zero mention of Jace Vines in the prophecy. He's a complete wild card in this story. Fernan finds it weird since humans are supposed to naturally hate demons. Jace gives a creepy grin and says magic came from dragons. The church despises that idea. They think magic is a demonic power born of demons. That's some heavy-duty religious beef. The mages and the church have been fighting for centuries. The church went practically insane trying to purify the mages. The Ain't-themed stock is looking like a solid buy. Fernan really can't help himself when it comes to profit. Jace waves goodbye, telling Fernan to be back within 5 hours. Fernan tells him he's counting on him. We follow Ain't as he moves through the woods. He's being stealthy, avoiding the other students. He's heading west. According to his info, the only lake in that direction is Lake Farden. Fernan is watching from the shadows, his red eye glowing under the hood. He whispers that it's Aint's turn now. Ain't catches his breath. He remembers the instructions to do exactly as his sunbae told him. He steps out into a clearing and freezes. He's found someone he wasn't expecting to see here. He stares at the figure standing in front of him. His eyes go wide with total shock. It's Baryon Calberden. The long red hair and that angry face are unmistakable. This is going to be trouble. Ain't is over it. He stands over Baryon and asks if he really wants to get beat down for the 3rd time today. He gives him a cold reality check, reminding him he doesn't stand a chance. Baryon snaps back, but you can tell his pride is hanging by a thread. Flashback time. Turns out Fernan was the one who gave Baryon this ridiculous mission to stall Ain't during the training. Fernan went full villain mode to secure his cooperation, asking if he should switch his life to hard mode right now, a terrifying way to ask for a favor. Back in the woods, Baryon is still struggling to accept his loss. Ain't just watches, waiting for this guy to move so he can actually finish the test. Baryon clenches his fist, practically shaking with rage. Losing to Ain't twice has completely trashed his reputation as a top knight. He ignites his aura, determined to reclaim his honor through one more duel. The dedication is impressive, even if it is a little misguided. Gardner, the blue ghost, is actually loving this. He's cheering Baryon on for having the guts to keep challenging a superior opponent. Gardner tells Ain't to accept the challenge, calling Baryon a magnificent knight. Ain't's face says it all. He really doesn't want to deal with this right now. He tries to explain the situation to Baryon, but he can barely get a word in. Ain't tells him the rules literally say participants aren't allowed to fight each other. He's the only one here actually trying to pass the class. Baryon goes full delinquent mode. He yells that he only fights for honor, and the academy rules mean absolutely nothing to him. He draws his blade and charges in, shouting about seeking honor. Ain't is forced to draw his sword just to keep his head on his shoulders. They clash in a flurry of sparks. Ain't parries the blow effortlessly, while Gardner keeps mocking the courageous knight. Deep in the shadows, Fernan is watching the whole show with a smug grin. Phase 1 of the plan is working perfectly. Ain't is officially distracted. He uses the opportunity to slip away, jumping through the trees with insane speed. While Baryon does the heavy lifting, Fernan heads off to take care of his actual business. Money doesn't wait for anyone. He reaches the designated lake and looks around to make sure the coast is clear. The barrier is up, and he's ready to start digging. He knows that with the barrier active, he can cause as much noise as he wants without alerting the professors. Time for some industrial magic. He's excited, thinking he finally gets to use this magic. He's been waiting for a chance to test out some high-level construction spells. He places his hand on the damp ground, focusing his mana to locate the mithril vein before Ain't can finish his duel. A massive purple magic circle erupts from the ground. He's going big on this one. It's time to call in some professional help. He channels his mana through the magic tech circle, weaving together complex techniques to create a temporary familiar. A massive stone entity begins to pull itself together from the mud and rocks, a merchant's essence infused with enormous amounts of money. The construct's eyes snap open with a sharp purple glow. The summon is a success. Fernan is hyped. He's excited to see it's a golem. He looks like a kid who just got the most expensive toy in the world. He points a finger at the giant and names it James. Every legendary servant needs a relatable name. Meanwhile, back at the fight, Baryon is literally crying and begging Ain't to attack him. It's getting real weird, real fast. Ain't looks like he wants to die of embarrassment, telling Baryon to quit acting like a child. Baryon grits his teeth, remembering Fernand's threat to ruin his life if he doesn't stall Ain't for at least an hour. He realizes he has no choice but to double down on the crazy, knowing life will get tough if he can't endure it. He tries to act like he's actually into it, telling Ain't he enjoys being trampled on. The sheer audacity of this lie is incredible. Ain't has never been more confused in his entire life. This is way outside his hero training manual. Baryon keeps screaming about how much he loves being ruined, hoping Ain't will just keep fighting him out of pure annoyance. Ain't delivers a solid kick to the chest that sends Baryon flying back into the trees, asking him what kind of freak he is. Baryon hits the ground hard, skidding through the dirt, but he's not staying down, he's got a timer to beat. He bounces back up, shouting that he is a freak. He's fully committed to the bit now just to save his hide. He collapses back onto the ground, gasping for air. Ain't is just standing there, completely speechless. He checks his pocket watch with a shaky hand. He needs to know if he's fulfilled his quota for Sunbae Fernan. Mission success. He's endured for an hour and 10 minutes. He falls to his knees, relieved that his hard mode life has been avoided. Ain't finally makes it to the cave entrance. Gardner is lecturing him about ignoring a knight's plea, but Ain't is stickler for the rules. They head deep into the darkness. Gardner reminds him that if this cave were easy to find, it would have been looted centuries ago. Ain't steps into shallow water, his boots making a soft splash. He senses an energy that feels way more intense than a simple spirit herb. Gardner tells him to keep his eyes peeled and look down towards the lower levels of the cave system. They find a hidden chamber filled with glowing blue flora. The light reflecting off the water makes the whole place look magical. Ain't is stunned by the sight. He realizes they've actually found the legendary stash mentioned in the reports. Meanwhile, deep inside the underwater cave, Fernand's golem is busy absolutely demolishing a wall. Jackpot. Fernan is laughing like a maniac as James uncovers a massive vein of pure mithril. Back to Ain't. He's happy about the herb, but he senses something troublesome guarding the prize. They spot the herb on a small island in the center, but it's guarded by a massive, sleeping sea dragon. Gardner tells him to back off. This isn't a good time, and they should wait for a better chance to strike. Ain't wonders if he can take it on, but Gardner shuts him down, telling him the sea dragon will discover the taste of human flesh today if he tries. Suddenly, the entire cave starts to rumble. The noise from the golem's mining must have reached this part of the cave. Giant rocks start falling from the ceiling. The environment is becoming incredibly unstable. The rumbling awakens the beast. A massive blue eye snaps open, glowing with predatory intent. The sea dragon roars, its massive body rising from the depths of the underwater lake. It looks absolutely terrifying. Gardner is panicking. It's awakened. They've gone from a stealth mission to a survival horror. Ain't looks the monster right in the eye, his hand moving towards his sword hilt. It's now or never. The dragon towers over him, looking like a god of the deep. Ain't stands his ground, ready for the fight of his life. Ain't Armian isn't backing down. He grits his teeth and prepares to take on a legendary beast that's way out of his league. The water dragon doesn't care about his courage. It lets out a massive roar, sending shockwaves through the entire cave. The blue ghost Gardner is losing his mind. He screams at Ain't to forget the herb and just run before he gets eaten alive. Ain't realizes too late that Gardner was right. He turns to bolt, but the dragon is already closing the distance. The dragon lunges forward with a massive swipe of its claws, tearing through the ground like it's made of paper. Ain't barely manages to stay ahead of the strike, but the sheer pressure of the attack is almost enough to knock him out. The cave ceiling starts to crumble as the dragon's power wreaks havoc on the environment. Rocks the size of carriages are falling everywhere. Ain't takes a brutal hit from the dragon's tail, sending him skidding across the shallow water with a pained groan. He hits the water hard and struggles to find his footing, while the dragon looms over him like an inescapable nightmare. Ain't looks up, his vision probably blurring from the impact. This is the definition of a boss fight you aren't supposed to win. The dragon opens its maw, gathering a massive amount of blue mana for a finishing blow. The sheer scale of this monster is insane. Ain't is literally about to become a snack for a legendary beast. Ain't tries to channel whatever mana he has left into his sword, but he's running on empty. This is looking grim. The dragon unleashes a spiraling beam of blue energy that looks like it's going to vaporize everything in its path. The attack connects, and the resulting explosion sends debris flying in every direction. The cave entrance is completely blocked now. Through the smoke, the dragon stares at the rubble, convinced it has finished off the annoying little human. Ain't is falling through the air as the ground beneath him gives way. He's lucky to be alive, but he's in for a rough landing. Meanwhile, Fernan is just chilling in the mining zone, wondering why the hell the water dragon woke up so early. He's holding a chunk of pure mithril, looking way more concerned about his investment than the fact that Ain't might be dead. Fernan remembers his deal with Barian. He's starting to worry that Ain't lost his chance to awaken like the prophecy predicted. He looks at the St. Bird's heart in his hand. He put a lot of money into this kid, and he hates seeing a bad return on investment. He tells his golem James that they've mined enough, and it's time to head out before the professors show up. Back in the collapse zone, a hand reaches out from under the rubble. Ain't isn't ready to go to the great beyond just yet. Ain't drags himself out of the rocks, looking like he just went 12 rounds with a mountain. He gasps that he almost died there. Gardner isn't giving him any sympathy. He just yells that he told Ain't to run in the first place, calling him a reckless fool. Gardner notes that thanks to Fernan's elixir, Aint's energy has actually gotten a lot stronger despite the beating he took. Ain't looks up and sees the spirit herb is still safe on its little island. Talk about a silver lining. Gardner points toward a small opening in the back of the cave. He senses something strange coming from that direction. Ain't is skeptical. He doesn't feel anything, but he knows Gardner's instincts are usually spot on. The little blue ghost tells him to stop complaining and hurry over. Ain't mutters and heads deeper into the unknown. Ain't enters a narrow passage, his sword held ready. The atmosphere in this part of the cave is completely different. He looks at a jagged rock wall, wondering what exactly Gardner was sensing. It looks like a dead end to him. Gardner insists there's definitely something there. He tells Ain't to quit stalling and just grab the spirit herb so they can leave. Suddenly, a bright light starts leaking through a crack in the wall. Gardner was right. Something big is hidden behind the stone. Ain't starts digging frantically, his eyes wide with surprise. Gardner is hovering over him, yelling for him to hurry up. He finally pulls a small, glowing object from the wall. He's got it, though he has no idea what it actually is yet. The light from the object is blinding. It looks like he just found a literal piece of the sun buried in the cave. Gardner is doing a victory lap, cheering that he found it. The little guy is way too hyped about this discovery. Back outside, Jace Vines is wearing his saintly smile. He's clearly satisfied with how the business trip went. Fernan meets up with him, looking a bit dusty but otherwise fine. He asks if anything happened on Jace's end. Jace just laughs it off, saying a few monsters went wild but it was nothing he couldn't handle. Fernan says that's good work. Fernan mentions that his merchant group will be placing a massive order with the church today. Jace is practically drooling at the news. They part ways with a friendly wave. Jace wishes him Mana's grace, probably already thinking about all the gold he's about to make. Fernan finds a nice tree branch to lounge on. He's finally got a moment to admire his haul of rare mithril. He holds up a glowing blue crystal, musing that mithril has excellent mana absorption and conductivity. He knows that mithril alone isn't enough to reach its full potential. It needs to be forged with another rare metal to truly shine. The best ore to alloy with mithril is adamant. The combination creates the ultimate material for high-level magical equipment. The problem is that adamant is just as rare as mithril. Fernan is stuck wondering how to get his hands on some when money can't even buy it. The richest guy in the empire just found something he can't buy with his mountain of gold. Talk about emotional damage. Suddenly, a high-pitched scream rips through the quiet forest, begging to be saved. Fernan looks down to see a girl running for her life. She looks absolutely terrified, but Fernan isn't moved yet. She's being chased by a pack of hellhounds, yelling for an instructor to help her. She's really selling the damsel in distress act. Fernan just stares down at her with a deadpan expression, saying, of course he has to help if she's in danger, sounding incredibly bored. The girl lands a perfect flip, looking way too agile for someone who is just helpless. Fernan's skepticism is reaching max level. The girl perches on the tree branch across from him. She's got long orange hair and pointed ears. She's an elf. The hellhounds are snarling at the base of the tree, looking like they're ready to climb up and finish the job. Fernan just looks at her, telling her to deal with those noisy guys too. He's not lifting a finger. The girl smirks, her eyes glowing with green mana, asking if it was that obvious. She's dropping the act instantly. She unleashes a massive whirlwind of wind magic, absolutely shredding the hellhounds in a matter of seconds. She sits back, looking perfectly casual after that massacre and asking if he's happy now. She wonders if he came looking for her on purpose. Fernan just tells her to go on her way, claiming it was just a coincidence, though we know he's always got a motive. The girl thinks he's prickly. She asks if he's trying to build connections because she's from a Prince-Elector family. Meet Arya Fridian. She's got that "I'm important and I know it" vibe down to a science. Fernan tells her he's heard plenty about how she tends to flirt with other noble families, busting her with a smirk. Fernan doesn't have time for social games unless there's a paycheck involved. He just shut her down in record time. Arya isn't deterred. She thinks it would be nice if the Prince-Elector families got along. She's laying on the charm thick. She mentions that the Fridian family recently replaced the Burchefs. She's basically the new money on the block. Arya asks if Fernan has any other Prince-Elector families in his ear, suggesting Ain't Armian, for example. Fernan asks if an elf can live on just meat. Arya just gives him a mysterious look and says she eats fruit sometimes too. Fernan smirks. He knows she's a shameless and brazen believer in her own superiority. Arya laughs, saying she wants to be friends with everyone. She's definitely a political animal in a school uniform. Suddenly, a massive ripple of blue energy washes over the forest. Something big just happened at the lake. The instructor is screaming for someone to get the professor immediately. The safe training just turned into a disaster. The water dragon has officially appeared at Lake Farden. It's time for the real chaos to begin. Fernan and Arya are just chilling in a tree when the screams reach them. A water dragon? That definitely wasn't in the prophecy script. Arya doesn't waste a second, hopping off the branch to check out the chaos for herself. She's got that "I want to help" energy. Fernan is already moving, pushing through the forest at high speed. He knows exactly where the trouble is brewing. He's sweating because the prophecy is glitching. If the water dragon rampages now, everything he planned might fall apart. Down at the lake, it's a total disaster zone. The dragon is unleashing absolute hell on the fleeing students. The instructors are screaming for the first years to fall back, while the TAs try to form a desperate defensive line. Gardner tells Ain't the dragon is only here because he grabbed that herb. It's time to bail and let the teaching assistants handle it. Ain't agrees, trying to keep a low profile as he retreats from the shore before drawing too much heat. He looks back just in time to see the massive blue beast rearing up for another devastating attack. The dragon lets out a deafening roar, its massive maw glowing with a surge of blue energy. It lunges straight for Ain't, sensing the spiritual herb in his possession. It's moving way too fast for a rookie to dodge. Suddenly, Fernan drops in out of nowhere, slamming a high-level containment device into the ground right in front of the beast. A massive magic circle erupts from the earth, catching the dragon's lunge head on with a solid barrier. Fernan's eyes are locked in. He's not letting his billion-gold investment get eaten before he can get a return. The collision creates a massive shockwave, shattering the ground and sending rocks flying in every direction. The dragon is visibly stunned, blood spraying from its mouth as the magical barrier holds firm against the impact. Fernan grits his teeth through the pressure, wondering if this is actually too much for a student-level TA to handle. The red-bearded instructor gives him a smirk of approval, telling him he held the line well and to leave the rest to them. The instructors unleash their own heavy-duty magic, bombarding the dragon from all sides with elemental strikes. A massive pillar of light and fire strikes the beast, illuminating the entire forest in a blinding flash. The dragon finally decides it's had enough and dives back into the safety of the dark water. The students cheer as the monster retreats, glad it's running away. Everyone is just glad to be alive. Fernan lets out a long breath. His interference is starting to butterfly affect the prophecy in ways he didn't expect. He spots Ain't nearby and heads over. He needs to make sure his main character stock is still intact. Ain't is looking at Fernan like he's a literal god. The sparkling eyes are reaching critical levels of devotion. Ain't starts stammering thanks, but Fernan just brushes it off, claiming protecting students is just part of the job. He tells him, whatever, if he's okay, that's all that matters, and to go get his work done. Ain't calls out to him again, saying he actually has something important he needs to tell him. He hesitates, looking a bit shy and fidgety. He's really struggling to find the right words to start. Fernan stops and waits with his usual stoic face. He's curious what the hero has on his mind. They find a quiet spot in the forest to talk privately, making sure nobody is eavesdropping. Fernan asks if he's looking to buy some more. A professional merchant never stops hunting for a deal. Ain't admits he's totally broke and couldn't buy anything, but he actually has something he wants to sell. Fernan's inner thoughts are harsh, thinking about how this brat is the one who got him expelled in the original timeline. He panics as his inner monologue almost becomes an outer one, realizing that slipped out of his mouth. Ain't apologizes if he hurt Fernan's feelings. He's being so polite it's actually starting to unnerve the billionaire. Fernan plays it off as a joke, telling him not to take it to heart. He's wondering what this kid could possibly have to sell. Ain't reaches into his pouch and says it's this, looking way too casual about it. He pulls out a glowing green crystal. Fernan's jaw hits the floor. It's adamant, the rarest metal in the Empire. Fernan is screaming internally. He was just stressing about how to find this stuff, and now it's just lying in Ain't's hand. He tries to stay calm, but his mouth is literally twitching. He needs to secure this deal immediately. He asks where he got it, trying to sound professional and noting adamant isn't something you find lying around. Ain't says he'd rather not say where he got it. Fernan is impressed by the filthy rich attitude he's showing. He promises it wasn't acquired by shady means. He's just got so much of it that it's a burden to carry. Ain't mentions his subspace storage is actually full. Fernan realizes he definitely found it in that underwater cave. He didn't get mithril, but he ended up with adamant instead. This is that protagonist luck at work. Fernan wonders what kind of insane cave has both mithril and adamant. He's starting to rethink the geography of the forest. Ain't smiles brightly and starts stating his conditions for the trade. He's actually being reasonable. Gardner is panicking in Ain't's ear, warning him that the Pellenberg family will steal his nose if he blinks. Ain't thinks the terms sound good, and Fernan accepts so fast it nearly gives the boy a heart attack. Gardner is absolutely floored. He can't believe he just accepted their terms. The ghost is completely bewildered. Ain't wonders why he's not auctioning it for more. He's actually worried about his senior's financial well-being. Fernan knows word would get out, and Ain't would be a target from all sides if he tried to sell it publicly. He looks at the boy, realizing how much raw power and luck is sitting right in front of him. He jokingly asks, what if he just kills Ain't and takes the adamant for himself? Ain't just gives him a deadpan look. The chibi versions show Ain't laughing it off. He thinks Fernan is a good guy because he gave him the Saint Bird's heart. Ain't's trust is ironclad now. Fernan realizes that saving him from the dragon earned him some major favor points. Fernan is calculating the social capital, realizing saving him earlier earned him major favor points. Ain't smiles broadly, noting that Fernan even saved his life from that water dragon. The bond is officially formed. Fernan leans in and gets serious, asking Ain't that if he ever gets the urge to turn him into a beggar. His eyes glow with a menacing red light as he tells Ain't to remember this day. He wants him to never forget that he risked his life to save him. Fernan says he'll get the contract ready and be in touch. Ain't just stands there, convinced his senior has finally lost his mind. Ain't just watches him go, muttering that Fernan is nuts and must have lost his mind after seeing the adamant. Fernan returns to his massive estate, striding through the grand halls like he owns the world. Hyde is waiting at the door. Fernan casually asks if he's back, and if anything happened while he was gone. Hyde's jaw drops as he stares at the massive haul Fernan brought home. He looks like he's about to have a heart attack. The entire parlor is overflowing with glowing mithril and adamant. It's a literal mountain of gold and power. Hyde is stammering, asking where the hell all these rare ores came from, but Fernan just gives him a smug grin. Hyde is doing the mental math, realizing these ores are nearly impossible to get, even with their money. Their guild is about to blow past its revenue targets. But Fernan drops a bombshell. They're not selling it. Hyde looks like he's about to cry. Fernan takes a sip of wine, his eyes gleaming with a dark, satisfied ambition. He declares that he's going to make a colossal ego golem. The endgame is finally taking shape. Fernan is deep in his feelings, wondering why mages and knights get all the cool companions, like majestic steeds for battle, and elves get spirits as their lifelong companions. It's a literal cheat code for friendship and power. He's shouting at Hyde, asking why merchants must be such lonely beings. It's a full-on existential crisis. Hyde is just staring at him with a face that's screaming, what are you even talking about? He thinks the whole idea of an absurd companion is, well, absurd. Fernan doesn't care. He explains that golems are the ultimate merchant flex because you need insane wealth just to dream of building one. With the demon war looming, he needs more than just a fat bank account. He needs a guardian for the era when demons run rampant. This colossal ego golem will be his reliable, mountain-sized bodyguard. He's going to make it absolutely solid and dependable. Hyde is internally sighing, deciding to just stay quiet while the young master is in a good mood. Arguing with a billionaire is a losing battle. Hyde asks the million gold question, just how big are we talking? Fernan casually drops that it'll be 10 meters, like he's ordering a large pizza. Why go that big? Because it looks cool. Honestly, top-tier reasoning. I respect the dedication to the aesthetic. Suddenly, Fernan's eyes go red and he clutches his head, groaning about a headache. The universe really doesn't want him having a peaceful afternoon. He screams that it's another damn prophecy, the sound echoing through the estate. Poor Hyde looks like he's about to have a heart attack. Hyde is already on it, handing Fernan a tool to bite down on. He knows the drill when the visions hit. Fernan is writhing on the bed, but he still tries to act tough. Hyde isn't having it. Apparently, Fernan's been screaming his head off from the pain. Hyde is playing nurse, checking his temperature and making sure he doesn't swallow his tongue. Managing this guy is a 24/7 job. Hyde mutters that this must be a side effect from the lightning strike. Fernan is just staring into space, watching the next movie in his head. The prophecy shows a rogue contractor sneaking into a yacht club gathering to assassinate Iont, whispering for him to die. Real subtle, buddy. Fernan realizes he's actually part of this event. He joined the club to manage connections and has been a regular at these parties. He was the one who suggested turning a simple tea party into a luxurious yacht gathering at sea. Talk about bad timing. The moment the boat is at sea, a monster appears. Ain't is left shouting orders while everything goes to hell in a handbasket. It gets worse. The contractor isn't a stranger. He's an employee from Fernan's own trading company. The frame-up is perfect. If Ain't survives, he's going to think Fernan is a traitor to humanity. Fernan realizes that no wonder Ain't thinks he'll bring ruin to him. Fernan is fuming back in the real world. Anyone would think he made a deal with a demon in that situation. His PR team is going to have a nightmare. Hyde notices the shift in his aura. He can tell the master just saw something incredibly tilted. Fernan thinks if he messes this one up, he's seriously screwed. He's already plotting how to rewrite this specific chapter of his life. Hyde is trying to tend to him, but Fernan just brushes him off. He's got bigger things to worry about than a little brain scrambling. Hyde mentions there's an unplanned guest at the company. Fernan isn't in the mood, but money talks. The second he hears there's a guest, he forgets the pain. He can smell money, spoken like a true moneyhound. The guest is none other than Professor Tas. The man is all smiles, which usually means he's about to ask for a huge favor or a lot of cash. Tas wants to sell the sea dragon's corpse from the exam. He claims he used quite a bit of strength to take it down, so it's premium loot. Tas is laughing, thinking Fernan is the only one rich enough not to lowball him. Little does he know, Fernan is always looking for the exploit. Fernan is already mentally cataloging the sea dragon's useful parts like teeth, bones, and blood, but he questions why Tas is approaching a student. Tas gives a sly look, throwing it back at him for always dealing with staff under the table. Got him? Tas admits anyone can be a TA, so there's no need to bribe a professor. He prefers dealing with Fernan because the boy is flexible with the rules. This is an official acquisition request from the academy. Tas is here as the representative, looking for a clean deal. Fernan reveals he's already talked to his family about this. He's interested in a very specific part of the deal, not just the dragon bits. Tas tells him if he wants any of it, he has to buy the whole thing. It's an all-or-nothing package deal. Fernan isn't backing down. He knows a sea dragon is a gold mine where not a single part goes to waste. The teeth and bones make sturdy weapons. The blood and eyes are mana-rich, making them ideal for high-end potions. Even the scales can be used for legendary armor. Fernan's merchant pride is on the line to maximize these returns. They're sitting in a stalemate. Tas thinks he can just go to another family if Fernan doesn't play ball. Fernan knows the academy uses the proceeds to fund research. He asks if Tas wouldn't prefer to get a good price for his hard work. Tas gives a knowing wink. He wants his research budget padded, and Fernan knows exactly how to make that happen. Tas asks what he wants. He's ready to hear the actual price of Fernan's cooperation. Tas looks confident, but he has no idea what kind of curveball is coming his way. Fernan drops the bomb. He wants exclusive rights to sell ships to the academy. Wait, ships? He wants a contract stating the academy must purchase only from his Golden Turtle Trading Company. He's building a monopoly. Tas is baffled, asking what the academy would need ships for. He thinks Fernan has finally lost his mind. Fernan just gives a shark-like smile. He agrees that right now, there's no real need. He's betting on the future. The prophecy shows that soon, monster attacks will sink yachts and leave noble children drifting at sea. The academy will be forced to start naval combat courses. Mock battles mean ships take regular damage. Purchases, repairs, replacements. It's a cycle of massive costs and infinite profit for Fernan. In other words, this is a long-term, highly profitable venture. They shake on it, and Tas thinks he just got a great deal. Sucker. The scene shifts to a quiet bookshop. A girl is asking for a book titled Basic Cooking. Seems innocent enough, right? The clerk says if it's not there, it's probably sold out, but his eyes say he's definitely hiding something. He heads into the back to check the storage. The vibe of the shop just got 10 times creepier. He enters a dark, narrow aisle. This isn't a bookstore, this is a dungeon with better lighting. He mutters, "Basic Cooking," as a password. A hidden door is about to open, I can feel it. A thick, black smoke starts pouring out from behind the shelves. This is definitely not the culinary section. A shadowy figure with glowing red eyes manifests in the smoke. The clerk reports in. He's a secret agent. The shadow confirms that Ain't Armian never encountered the Berserk Barian. Their demonic energy plan was thwarted. The clerk looks shocked. Someone interfered and got between their prey and the demonic trap. The clerk admits he wasn't able to identify exactly who did it. Fernan is currently the world's best at hiding in plain sight. The shadow is getting impatient, asking if there's no way to find out. Their influence over the academy is at risk. The clerk says he'll try other methods. He's determined to root out the intruder. The shadow tells him to forget it for now and focus on the next plan. They're already moving to phase 2. The clerk is confused why the academy hasn't mentioned the demonic energy. Usually, they'd be screaming about it. He realizes the traces were wiped completely clean. He wonders if this is all just coincidence. Or maybe it was intentional. Someone out there knows exactly what they're up to and is playing the same game. Meet the new antagonist. One gold eye, one red eye. He looks like a total menace. The money demon just found a real devil to play with. The spooky smoke monster is worried that someone might already know about their existence. The clerk just stands there like, "Don't look at me, man." The blue-haired leader decides it's probably just a coincidence for now. He tells the clerk to stop being sloppy and be more careful. They can't afford to be revealed yet because they're still lacking power. One wrong move and their future plans are straight in the trash. Priority number 1. Eliminating Ain't Armian. His growth rate at the academy is apparently making these guys sweat. We see a glowing vision of the cursed scion himself. They really seem to have a personal grudge against Ain't's family tree. The leader declares that the next plan must be a success. If Ain't gets any stronger, he's going to be a massive headache for them. He gives the clerk a terrifying death glare with that one glowing eye, telling him not to fail him a second time. Message received, loud and clear. The shadow vanishes, leaving the clerk alone in the dark. He's got his orders, and he's heading back to play bookstore guy. A customer bell rings and Luina walks in. She's looking for that Basics of Cooking book we saw earlier. The clerk puts on his customer service mask and hands over the book. If only she knew this guy was plotting world domination in the back room. Luina heads out, wishing him a good day. She's completely oblivious to the fact that she just did business with a demon worshipper. Fernan is nearly choking on his wine when Luina drops the bomb, asking if she sensed demonic energy and where. She explains it was exactly 3 days ago, right after dinner. She was hanging out with her friend Bella at the time. Fernan remembers Bella Hoen, the 18th ranked student in the night department. He's already digging through his mental database. Luina gives him the full breakdown of the situation. It all started when Bella asked for a little friendly sparring match. Bella claimed she felt her skills had improved and wanted to confirm it. Usually, this is where a training arc starts, but things got weird. She was extremely confident, and instead of wooden swords, she suggested using the real deal. Red flag alert. Bella's sword was way heavier and fiercer than before. She's swinging that blade with some serious intent behind it. Their swords clash with enough force to light up the room. Luina can tell her friend's skills have taken a massive jump. Bella is pulling off some insane aerial moves. She's putting a lot of pressure on the second-ranked student. It wasn't just power, she was fast enough to put Luina in some really tight spots. Bella's definitely been eating her Wheaties. She dodges Luina's strike like it's nothing. Her body control is on a completely different level now. Luina notes that she's definitely different from before. She's starting to get a very bad feeling about this improvement. Bella says she feels full of power and that her body is finally listening to her. She's smiling, but something feels off. She charges back in, her aura flaring a bright pink. This doesn't look like a friendly duel anymore. Fernan is being a total troll and asks if, in the end, she lost. Luina looks like she's about to throw her fork at him. She continues her story, explaining that Bella uses a style that relies on the weight and power of her sword. The destructive force is overwhelming, but usually it's got clear limits in extremely close combat. But when Luina tried to close the gap, Bella met her head on. Their eyes meet and the vibe shifts instantly. At that exact moment, Luina sees something in Bella's eyes, a look that definitely doesn't belong to a human. She sees a dark, demonic shadow reflecting in her friend's pupils. Talk about a nightmare fuel moment. A massive red shockwave blasts them apart. The force is so strong it practically shreds the air around them. Bella skids back, her face hidden by her hair, guessing she couldn't control it properly. She tries to laugh it off, but Luina is standing there like she just saw a ghost, which, honestly, she basically did. Fernan asks if she's absolutely sure it was demonic energy. Luina confirms it was that same chilling aura she felt from Baryon. It was only for a moment, but she's positive. Fernan's curious about Bella's current condition. Luina says she's completely fine now. No physical abnormalities, no mental loss, just her regular, cheerful self. Unlike Baryon, who went full beast mode, Bella seems to be keeping the demon inside on a short leash. Fernan wonders if Luina just made a mistake, but he decides he needs to check it out personally, just in case. Bella is Luina's best friend since they were kids. She can't just stand by and watch her turn into a monster. Fernan says he doesn't have a solid plan yet, but he'll look into it in his own way. He's way more focused on his food right now. Then he gives her a look, saying he's just asking because he's curious. He asks if the steak and chocolate syrup combo is actually tasty. Luina's face says it all. That is an absolute culinary crime, and she is judging him so hard right now. Fernan starts analyzing Bella's daily routine. It's perfectly normal. Dorms, classes, training hall, cafeteria. She's a model student. No suspicious contact, no traumatic events like Baryon had. There are literally no signs of anything being wrong. She's cheerful and has good relationships. There shouldn't be any opening in her heart for demonic energy to seep in. Neither of them met a demon or made a contract. Fernan realized something terrifying. The energy is spreading without contact. He wonders if demonic energy can seep into people without them even realizing it. If so, the whole academy is already a ticking time bomb. If Luina wasn't mistaken, then his current plan is in serious trouble. The demon possession is happening much differently this time. Suddenly, his brain starts trying to escape his skull again. Another vision is forcing its way in. He sees a flash of blood-red light. The next piece of the puzzle is finally clicking into place, and it looks like total carnage. A sky red like blood, a foul stench of demonic energy, and monsters literally everywhere. The end is definitely near. Humans are losing their sanity left and right. We see Ia's troubled face in the middle of the burning ruins. Fernan realizes this scene looks familiar. He's seen this exact nightmare in his very first prophecy. The demonic energy had been lying dormant in the students' bodies this whole time, and with the descent of the demon Andromalius, it all begins to awaken. The academy was no different from hell. Fernan realizes he's looking at the exact moment before the final disaster strikes. Ain't is in shock as Gardner drops the truth bomb. Students are being infected by demonic energy. This isn't just some bad rumor, it's a full-on supernatural outbreak. Gardner looks absolutely frantic, insisting that he'd definitely know if anyone had signed a soul-selling contract. He's the resident expert on demons after all. Ain't doesn't waste any time and starts pumping his own mana into the unconscious students to see what's going on. He's taking the DIY approach to supernatural forensics. Gardner realizes these demons were playing the long game. They didn't just barge in, they were methodical and careful with how they spread their influence. The horrifying truth comes out, the infection was happening during the students' regular daily lives. Imagine going to lunch and catching a case of demonic possession. It was so subtle that nobody noticed a thing. This has been brewing for a long time, and the demons were just waiting for the right moment to flip the switch. Gardner points out that to trigger a mass explosion of energy like this, you'd need a massive vessel to act as a battery. The ghost spots something in the distance and yells for Ain't to look over there. He senses a massive mana source that shouldn't be there. A massive red magic circle is etched into the floor, glowing with a sinister light. This is the source of all the misery we're seeing. Gardner screams that Ain has to destroy that circle right now if he wants to save everyone. It's the heart of the whole operation. Text starts floating everywhere as the energy intensifies. The ominous source is officially active, and it's accelerating the process. The scene shifts to a literal bloodbath in a hallway. It looks like a level from a survival horror game just glitched into the academy. Ain't is frozen in place, staring at the sheer scale of the demonic influence. This is way above his pay grade as a first-year student. We see a flash of Bella caught in the crossfire, her eyes glazed over as the infection takes hold. This is what's coming if they don't act fast. Gardner explains that if that circle goes down, the energy will dissipate and things might actually go back to normal. No pressure, Ain't. Ain't grips his sword hilt, realizing this isn't some ordinary mana amplification trick. This is something much, much darker. That's a summoning circle. They aren't just infecting people, they are opening a door for a main boss. The plan is simple but terrifying. They are trying to bring a demon lord directly into the school. Talk about a bad first semester. A massive shadow looms in the vision. Andromalius is coming back to the world, and he looks like he's ready for some serious payback. Fernan snaps back to reality, gasping for air on his office floor. That vision was a total system shock for his brain. He pieces it together, demonic energy, the summoning of Andromalius, and Bella being the key. The clock is officially ticking. He bolts out of the room, shouting Luina's name at the top of his lungs. He's moving so fast, he's practically a blur. He finds her near the academy halls. He needs to know where Bella is right this second before she turns into a demonic anchor. Luina is confused, but Fernan is dead serious. He knows Bella is infected even if she feels perfectly fine right now. Luina actually thanks him for being concerned about her friend. She still thinks Fernan has a heart under all those gold coins. Fernand's internal monologue is much colder. He needs Bella alive because she's the evidence he needs to secure Luina's loyalty forever. He looks like a total villain here, staring into the distance. He's doing this for the continent, but his methods are definitely questionable. Right on cue, Bella shows up, apologizing for being late because her lecture ran over. Talk about perfect timing. Bella is surprised to see Fernan there. She's totally unaware that she's currently a walking demon bomb. Fernan doesn't do small talk. He points right at her head and tells her there are demons inside. Full move, buddy. He doubles down, saying they need to kill those demons before they consume her completely. His eyes are glowing with that "I know the future" intensity. He orders her to follow him, no questions asked. Bella is rightfully weirded out, asking if he's sick. He warns her that if they don't act, she will lose her reason, and the academy judges won't hesitate to put her down. Bella is starting to get tilted. She asks if he's actually threatening her right now. The tension is getting thick enough to cut with a sword. Fernan insists he's just speaking the truth, but Bella isn't having any of it, asking if he's out of his damn mind. Bella tries to storm off, but Fernan grabs her arm. He's not letting his proof walk away that easily. Luina steps in, pleading with Bella to just trust Fernan this one time. She's really doing some heavy lifting for his social skills. Bella gives in, but only because Luina asked nicely. Fernan's inner thought? He was literally a second away from knocking her out. Bella gives him a look that could kill. She'll play along, but she's definitely not happy about it. She demands an apology to her and Luina if he turns out to be wrong. Fernan just wonders why Luina needs an apology in this scenario. The chibi versions of them are great. Bella is fuming because Fernan lured the innocent Luina into his crazy schemes. Fernan tells her to lead him to all the places she visits often. He's looking for the trace of where she picked up the demonic mana. Bella is still ranting about him doing a background check on her. She really doesn't understand how future sight works. They start walking the grounds, but everything seems normal. No hidden altars or suspicious stains on the walls yet. Fernan calls the training hall pitiful, and Bella looks like she's about to pop a vein. This dude really has zero chill. He's checking off a mental list. Dorms, lecture halls, library, cafeteria, all of them are clear. No traces detected. Finally, they arrive at the bookstore cafe. The clerk we saw earlier greets them with a smile that's way too friendly. Bella mentions she likes romance novels and starts browsing. Luina is judging the book titles while Fernan stays on high alert. Fernan realizes romance novels are a perfect common hobby to hide something suspicious. It'd be weirder if he found the traces easily. Bella is all excited about the new arrivals, especially the ones with illustrations. She's definitely the target demographic for this shop. She grabs a red book titled The Crazed Duke. Yeah, that sounds like a very normal romance novel, sure. The clerk says hello to Fernan, acting like he's just a regular local merchant. Fernan asks how the guy knows him. The clerk just smiles and says he's a merchant too. Game recognizes game, I guess. The two of them share a brief look while the girls are distracted. The clerk is laying on the friendly local business owner act, thick. He tries to recommend a book that Fernan might like. I'm guessing it's not a cookbook this time. He claims he has something perfect for the young master. He's practically begging Fernan to buy into his trap. Fernan shut him down instantly, saying he's fine and has all the books he could want at home. Talk about a cold rejection. Luina tells Fernan it's time to go. He bids the clerk a casual, "See you next time," and they head for the exit. The clerk says, "Sure," with a smile, but you can feel the malice radiating off him as the door closes. He says to please come back. The clerk's face goes full demon mode with a glowing red eye the second they're out of sight. Creepy. Fernan leads the group to a cafe run by his guild. Bella asks if it's only for important guests because it looks way too fancy. He opens the door to a private room. This is where he does his real business, the kind that needs to stay off the record. Luina and Bella follow him in, looking a little bit intimidated by the high-class atmosphere. A bright, holy light fills the room as the saint, Jace Vines, greets them. He looks like he just walked off a cathedral stained glass window. Bella is absolutely floored. She goes full fangirl mode, shouting, "I believe," at the top of her lungs. Fernan cuts through the worship and asks if Jace brought the item. The saint just gives a cheeky grin and says, "Of course." Cash changes hands. Jace is technically a saint, but he's also a Pellenbird business partner. No returns or exchanges. Bella is finally catching on that something weird is happening, asking Fernan what he's doing and why Jace is here. Fernan gives her that smug half smile and tells her Jace will prove it. It's time for the final reveal. The two of them stand together, looking like they're about to drop the hottest album of the year. They're going to prove she has demonic energy in her. Bella isn't convinced. She asks how exactly Jace plans to prove she's a demon's guest. Jace pulls out a case, explaining that the church is always prepared for these prophecies left by the founding pope. He hands over the detecting marble, claiming it's the most precise tool for sniffing out demonic energy. Bella realizes Jace is her senior in the academy, which doesn't really help her nerves. He tells her to hold it tight so his mana can inspect her from the inside out. Luina is skeptical, but Fernan is betting everything on Jace's expensive holy equipment. Jace gives her a warm smile, trying to act like he's not about to potentially exorcise her. He whispers that he's only doing this because Fernan's a major guild donor. He thinks the idea of actual demons is just pure fiction anyway. He tells her to just make herself comfortable. Bella decides to humor them just to get that apology from Fernan later. She grips the marble, determined to prove Fernan is just being a paranoid moneyhound. Suddenly, the marble starts crackling with an intense, ominous energy. Jace's casual smirk disappears instantly. He stares in genuine shock. He didn't expect the toy to actually react. The marble turns pitch black. Bella's jaw drops as her clean bill of health literally dissolves in her hands. Luina asks if that means she's clean, but Fernan hits her with the harsh truth. Black means infected. Jace explains that the color change is a 100% guarantee of demonic presence. Bella is having a full-blown existential crisis. She screams that something must be broken, but Fernan tells her to pipe down and stay still. He starts an actual prayer ritual, looking way too focused for a guy who just wants to save his reputation. He declares he's handing over an evil human to the dragon god. Luina panics, thinking he's about to delete her friend. The red light intensifies around Bella. She looks like she's about to be sacrificed in a high-budget ritual. Jace goes all in, calling on the dragon god to take care of his servant. A massive explosion rocks the room. Luina screams for them to stop, but the mana has already reached its peak. Smoke clears and the marble rolls away on the floor. The ritual is complete. Luina draws her sword and stands over the fallen Bella. She is absolutely livid. She calls Fernan a bastard for using magic like that without a warning. Bella looks completely out of it. Fernan explains the grim reality. The students are being infected by a spreading energy, not just signing contracts. Jace is actually impressed by Fernan's intel, asking how he's so sure there's no direct contact. Fernan whispers that he's been keeping tabs on her for days and found nothing suspicious. Luina wants to call for backup, but Fernan shuts that down. If word gets out, the demons will just scurry back into the shadows. He tells Jace they need to be the only ones who know. Information is the ultimate leverage. His plan? Use an ambush to wipe out every single demon-related threat in one go. The half-shadow on his face is giving off serious, future king-of-the-world vibes. Jace is terrified of the cold look in Fernan's eyes. He agrees to follow whatever orders the billionaire drops. Luina asks if he can actually save Bella. Fernan gives a simple, confident, "Of course." Jace reaches out his hand to Bella. She's staring at him like he's a horror movie villain. Jace puts on his best creepy saint face and promises to purify her. It's not very convincing. Bella screams that he has crazy eyes and begs to go home. Honestly, valid reaction. Chibi Fernan tries to mediate while Bella is literally trying to crawl away from the saint. Fernan tells Jace to fix his expression, or he's pulling the funding for the church. Money talks, saint walks. Jace just stares blankly as his saintly aura gets a reality check from a merchant. Jace apologizes immediately. Fernan is satisfied with his power over the church, thinking, good boy. Jace finally takes Bella's hand. He's behaving now, but the damage to his reputation is done. The holy energy flares up again. This time it looks more cleansing and less explosive. Bella asks if this is for real. Jace confirms purification magic is a basic part of his training. He promises it won't hurt. He's actually acting like a normal human for once. The spell hits her like a flashbang. We get an X-ray view of her skeleton as the demonic energy is flushed out. Bella collapses into Luina's arms, completely cleansed and unconscious. Fernan is more impressed by the building's construction. He expected the place to cave in from Jace's power. Luina just sighs. She's getting used to Fernan's weird priorities. Fernan leans over to check if the patient is still alive. Yes, she's breathing. She's just going to be taking a long, forced nap. Fernan pulls out a bottle of booze. He's about to get creative with the cleanup. He starts dousing the room and the girls in alcohol. Luina is understandably confused. He explains that if she smells like a brewery, people will just think she passed out from drinking instead of a demonic infection. He throws a cloak over her face to seal the drunken mistake aesthetic. Luina thanks him, still slightly weirded out by how efficient he is at being suspicious. Fernan heads out, satisfied that one more problem has been turned into an asset. He needs to find the rest of the infected to minimize the carnage when the demons finally arrive. Preventing the invasion would be ideal, but even with the prophecy, he's not sure how to stop a literal hellgate. He pours a glass of wine at home. He's already tracked the infiltrators to the merchant guild. He drinks. He found one was an employee on the yacht but didn't know they worked with demons. This whole messy situation is the most natural way to prove he's on the hero's side. Close up of his calculating red eye. He knows Ain't will trust him 100% after he saves everyone. He smiles into his wine. It won't be long until the world's savior considers a lonely merchant his best friend. The next day arrives at the docks. A massive, luxurious yacht is ready to set sail. Someone is wearing a very confident, almost predatory smile in the morning sun. Jace and Fernan are at the pier. Fernan declares it's about time he catches his fish. The yacht party is about to turn into a trap. Professor Grad is meeting with Fernan to finalize a very specific deal. Apparently, Fernan has requested the exclusive rights to sell ships to the Academy. The professor thinks it's a bit much to ask for exclusive rights just for buying the sea dragon carcasses at a good price. The Academy offers a counter. They'll grant a 20-year exclusive contract if Fernan provides any byproducts from those sea dragons at a reasonable price whenever requested. Fernan sips his tea, fully aware that intact carcasses are worth a fortune. He's weighing the high buy price, cheap parts trade-off very carefully. Normally, he'd never agree to such a lopsided deal, but he knows something they don't. He decides now is the time to give a little ground to gain a lot more later. He agrees to the terms with a dark, satisfied look. He knows the upcoming naval training he saw in the prophecy will make this ship business a literal gold mine. Contract concluded. They shake hands on the deal. Fernan is basically the Academy's main supplier now. Master Gong thanks him for the smooth negotiation. Fernan just brushes it off. It's definitely not his first time at the bargaining table. Hyde is confused though. He asks why Fernan went so hard for exclusive ship rights when it requires so much support from the family guild. Hyde is worried the Duke will see this as an unprofitable venture. Fernan just gives him that smug, I'm 10 steps ahead, look. He pivots the conversation, asking for the list of the yacht club staff. He's looking for the infiltrator from his prophecy. Hyde says he left the list on the desk and confirms he didn't see anyone particularly suspicious. Fernan realizes that if these demons were easy to find, they wouldn't be demons. He's prepared to be patient. He's not stressed though. He's confident that Ain't Armian will handle the heavy lifting when the time comes. Ain't will be completely on his side after this next event. The investment is maturing perfectly. Meanwhile, Fernan and Jace are watching the students from the docks. Fernan mutters that it's time to catch the fish they let swim free. Over in his room, Ain't is looking stronger than ever. He's finally fully absorbed the magic from the St. Bird elixir. Gardner is hyped. He's already planning to sell the leftover adamant for money to keep their operations running. Ain't feels reassured having at least one wealthy ally like Fernan. It takes a lot of the pressure off. Gardner is still a bit salty about Fernan, questioning why he's so important. He's definitely not a fan of the Pellenbergs. Ain't points out that having him on their side is a massive win, and Gardner has to admit that wars definitely need money. Ain't thinks the best way to secure Fernan's help is to show him a literal demon. Surely that'll get him to open his wallet. He's sure the demons will reveal themselves eventually. Gardner warns him not to trust the moneyhound family completely. Ain't asks why not. He thinks Fernan is a stand-up guy after everything that's happened. Gardner drops some lore. Apparently, the Pellenbergs once dealt with demons. We see coins falling into a literal monstrous hand. Gardner claims they are the original, sell your soul for a buck family. He's trying hard to poison the well. Ain't just gives him a flat number. He's not buying the ancient history drama. He's convinced Senior Fernan would never do such a thing. The loyalty he bought with that elixir is paying off big time. Ain't's internal debate is cut short when he senses someone approaching. Ain't whispers for Gardner to hide quickly as the door opens. He doesn't want any uninvited guests seeing his ghost teacher. It's Veloci Vienderk, the heir to another top noble family. He looks like he's looking for something specific. Veloci mentions he got an invitation to the yacht club and wants to talk to Ain't about it. The yacht club is the exclusive social gathering for noble children. Ain't is surprised to be mentioned in that circle. Veloci says Ain't definitely has the qualifications because of his royal army and bloodline. He needs a recommendation to join, and Veloci is offering. Ain't is suspicious. He knows a gathering like that will definitely involve the Schwaben family too. Gardner is screaming in his head, warning him that this Veloci guy is clearly trying to drag him into a trap. Ain't politely considers the offer, but he's leaning toward saying no. Social clubs aren't really his vibe. But then he stops. He realizes something might be up if they're inviting him so suddenly. Gardner suddenly changes his tune. He remembers an arrangement the first emperor left on the seaside. Ain't agrees to go. If there's family treasure involved, he's in. Veloci smirks, seeming a little too happy that Ain't agreed to come along. Gardner is already plotting. If their routes align, they can use the Emperor's secret stash. Gardner is ready for a seafaring adventure, saying the more the better when dealing with demons and telling Ain't to take it. The scene shifts to Luina Berchef holding an identical envelope. She looks totally confused. It's an invitation to the yacht club. Fernan is sitting right next to her on a park bench looking perfectly casual. Fernan asks if she knew he was the one blocking her membership before. The honesty is actually kind of refreshing. He mentions that Bella is also a member, which catches Luina's interest immediately. He admits he was using her debt as a pretext to keep her out. This guy is a master of tough love through financial pressure. Luina asks why he changed his mind all of a sudden. She's starting to see the patterns in his behavior. He says it's because he discovered traces of a vile creature and he needs her help. Having a reliable ally like Luina makes his trap for the demons much more likely to work. Luina is instantly fired up. She's not letting anyone else get infected like Bella and vows to take revenge. Fernan asks if Bella has woken up yet. A whole day has passed since the purification ritual. Luina says, not yet. We see Chibi Jace in the background, looking absolutely drained from using all that holy magic. Fernan suggests they go get lunch. He's done with the plotting for now. They walk off together. They look like a powerful duo, but there's someone else watching them. They walk past a bench where someone is sitting alone in the shadows. It's Barry Calburden. He looks like absolute garbage. His eyes are hollow and he's hunched over in despair. He wonders how his situation ended up like this. He's basically had his entire ego shattered by his losses to Ain't. The vision of his proud, second-ranked self is literally cracking apart. He's a thing of the past now. He's obsessed with the seat of Armian and how Ain't stole everything from him. He was abandoned by the prince and treated like trash. The emotional damage is visible on his face. He's especially salty that Ain't got the yacht club invitation he wanted so badly. He's having a full-on villain origin story moment, screaming about how that spot should have been his. Suddenly, a voice calls out to him, saying hello. Ain't Armian is standing there with a friendly smile, asking if he wants to have lunch with him. Talk about an awkward invitation. Ain't Armian is really out here trying to be the bigger person. He asks Barrian if he wants to grab lunch like they weren't just trying to kill each other an hour ago. Barrian is absolutely triggered, shouting in disbelief. Dude looks like he's about to have a stroke from the sheer audacity of this hero. Ain't just hits him with the, well, you looked lonely. Barrian snaps back immediately, asking whose fault he thinks that is. Ain't is playing the who me card with total innocence. Barrian is fuming, shouting that it's obviously Ain't's fault that his life is in the gutter. We get the chibi breakdown of Barrian's tragic downfall. He lost to Ain't, got dumped by the second prince, and now nobody wants to be his friend. Barrian suddenly freezes. He realized he just trauma-dumped his entire life story to his sworn enemy like a total rookie. He starts spiraling, worrying that Ain't will use this info to make his life even more difficult. He knows the Schwabens and Armians aren't exactly on the best of terms. Barrian realizes the second prince was his only solid backing. Now he's just a guy with zero friends and a massive amount of pride to maintain. Ain't actually apologizes for the friend situation and tries to invite him again. Talk about a persistent protagonist. Ain't looks so pure, it's almost annoying. Barrian is just staring at him, wondering what kind of scheme is happening behind that helpful senior act. Barrian hits him with a classic in your dreams before stomping off. He's not joining the friendship team that easily. Ain't watches him go, thinking this isn't like a shonen manga where the enemy becomes a best friend after a single talk. The emotional damage is real. Baryon screams at Ain't not to insult him any further. Ain't just stands there, perfectly calm, while a bird flies by in the background. Gardner, the blue ghost, just scoffs at the failed attempt, saying he told him it wouldn't work, sounding way too satisfied. Ain't is sitting by a fountain, eating a sandwich. Gardner notes that even though Baryon lost, he's still one of the most skilled knights in the academy. Gardner is being a total hype man for himself, bragging that if it weren't for him, Ain't would have never defeated him, while Ain't just keeps chewing. Gardner pivots to the real issue. Ain't has 0 talented friends. He thinks the boy is wasting his potential by staying isolated. Ain't tries to argue, but Gardner shuts him down. At the end of the day, the hero is still eating lunch all alone with a floating blue ghost. Gardner hits him with the cold truth. If he actually had friends, he wouldn't be sharing his meal with a dead guy from 1,000 years ago. We see a loser alliance vision of the 2 orphans of history. Gardner thinks it's a great idea for the Regex to stick together for the future. Ain't says he'll try to get closer to Baryon later. He's really taking this friendship quest seriously, even if Gardner is mocking him. They shift focus to the yacht club meeting. Ain't is worried about bringing a massive sword to a fancy social gathering of noble children. He tries on his suit, and yeah, carrying a giant blade on top of a tuxedo is a look, but not a good one. He feels like a total weirdo. He wonders if he should put the sword in a pocket realm, but Gardner says he can't see what's happening outside if he's tucked away in there. Gardner starts ranting about the Schwaben bloodline being traitors. He's getting all fired up while Ain't is just trying to finish his milk in peace. Gardner tells him not to worry about the sword size. He's got a trick up his sleeve that'll solve the problem instantly. Gardner explains that mithril swords can do more than just absorb souls. It turns out they have some pretty convenient features for the modern knight. A massive flash of blue light erupts as the sword begins to react to Gardner's mana output. The sword shrinks down to the size of a toothpick. Ain't is shocked that it can even decrease its size like that without breaking. Ain't picks up the tiny blade, looking incredibly impressed. He's finally seeing the value in ancient artifacts. Gardner suggests wearing it as a necklace, saying this kind of style was all the rage during his prime days. We see a vision of Gardner's prime days, where he's covered in jewelry and the ladies love it, or so he says, looking like a total G. Aint's reaction? A deadpan? It's tacky. Gardner's ego just took 999 true damage from that one comment. Gardner screams that kids nowadays have no sense of taste. Ain't just sighs and decides to put the tiny sword in his pocket instead. Transition to the Pellenberg side. The Scarlet Turtle Knights are on standby at the academy, ready for action as Fernan ordered. Fernan is getting dressed for the party while Hyde asks about the recording sphere. Business as usual for the moneyhound. Fernan says they'll be able to keep an eye on the demons all over the cruise. He's turning a high-class yacht party into a sting operation. Hyde is still struggling to believe that demons have actually infiltrated the Merchant Guild. It's a lot of bad news for one morning. Fernan just says he has his ways of getting secret info. Hyde feels a bit salty that his boss has other intel agents besides him. Hyde asks if the source is Jace Vines. He's noticed Fernan's been seeing the Saint way more often than usual. Fernan says the Order knows a lot about demons, but the main goal is just catching them. He's staying focused on the objective. Hyde asks what happens after the demons are caught. Fernan just gives a simple, "I'll find out." He's basically winging it based on a fuzzy prophecy. Fernan wonders how they hid their identity and what their actual goal is. His eyes are glowing red. He's in full calculation mode. We see a vision of a demon standing over a literal pile of skulls. The stakes for this boat trip are getting higher by the second. Fernan looks in the mirror, looking every bit the noble heir. He knows Ain't Armian is the centerpiece of all this chaos. Hyde asks what Ain't has to do with any of this. Fernan is busy picking out a black mask for the gala. Fernan says he gave Ain't the Saint Bird's heart so he could prove his worth. He's betting everything on the protagonist coming through tonight. Night falls as we see the massive luxury yacht docked and ready. The party is about to start and the tension is rising. Fernan adjusts his mask, thinking he made a mistake by not sending Luina a proper dress for the event. Luina arrives, but she's just wearing her school uniform with a fancy red cape. She looks ready for a duel, not a dance floor. Fernan asks if that's even allowed. Luina says it's fine, and a dress would have been too expensive anyway. That debt-saving lifestyle is no joke. She admits she went to look for one, but the current styles just weren't to her taste, but at least she wore a mask. Fernan offers his hand, telling her to come in. He's playing the role of the perfect rich guy escort. Luina is genuinely confused, asking if they need to hold hands. She's really not used to the whole social grace thing. Fernan insists, saying he's her partner and it's his job to escort her. Plus, he reminds her that those are the official rules. Luina thinks it's completely unnecessary, but she's basically stuck with him for the rest of the night. As they enter, the crowd starts whispering. Everyone is shocked to see the money demon and the second-ranked knight together. Fernan's internal monologue is purely strategic. He's already invested a lot in her, and he needs her close to guarantee his own survival. He also wants to show off their friendship, so other noble families don't try to poach his most valuable knight asset. Smug mode activated. A crew member announces that they'll be taking off soon. The anchor is raised as the ship moves out into the dark sea. Fireworks light up the night sky over the ocean. It's the perfect atmosphere for a massive disaster to happen. Luina asks if Bella is going to help out too. Fernan confirms she's full of resentment toward the demons after her infection. We see a chibi vision of Bella absolutely fuming. Apparently, she was more mad at Jace for burning her aura during the purification than the demons. Luina notices a change in the atmosphere of the room. The chatter among the nobles just got a lot more intense. Fernan looks over, muttering how interesting. Something big is about to happen in the center of the hall. The crowd parts as Eind Armian enters looking like a proper royal. Perhaps everyone here was waiting for this specific moment. The second prince, Ludger Schwaben, is already there waiting for him. The tension is thick enough to choke on. It's the meeting between Schwaben and Armian, the ultimate face-off between the current throne holders and the fallen royals. Eind Armian is playing the respect card, offering a formal bow to Prince Ludger. He's trying to keep things civil despite the bad blood between their houses. Meanwhile, Gardner is absolutely losing it in his head. The ghost can't believe a descendant of the founding emperor is bowing to a bastard like Ludger. Gardner's internal screaming continues while Ludger just gives a smug little smirk. He's clearly enjoying this massive power trip. Ludger patronizingly pats Eind on the shoulder, telling him to ditch the etiquette since everyone at the academy is equal. Yeah, sure buddy, we totally believe you. But then he immediately follows it up by reminding Eind that he's still his senior. Talk about sending some seriously mixed signals. Eind just takes it with a poker face, while Ludger walks off telling him to enjoy the party. The passive aggression here is off the charts. As soon as Ludger is gone, someone calls out to Eind. Looks like he won't be able to just brood in the corner for long. It's Veloci, who's hyped that Eind actually pulled off bowing to the prince. Eind just sighs, saying he didn't really have much of a choice. He grabs a drink to cool down, internally cursing the prince. If looks could kill, Ludger would be turned into toast right now. Gardner isn't letting it go, though. He asks why Veloci even invited Eind to this snobby club gathering in the first place. Eind starts scanning the room, realizing there are too many people here with hidden agendas. He's officially surrounded by suspects. Gardner puts on a detective hat, ready to drop some clever reasoning on the situation. This ghost is living his best afterlife as a sleuth. Suspect number 1 is obviously Ludger. Being the second prince, he's got every reason to want the army and heir out of the picture permanently. Then there's Fernan. He's rich, influential, and basically transformed a regular social club into his personal yacht party overnight. Finally, there's Veloci. He's been way too nice since day one, and in this world that usually means someone is hiding a big secret. Eind is sweating under the pressure of all these theories. He wants to believe Fernan is a good guy, but Gardner is planting serious seeds of doubt. Gardner starts spiraling, asking what if it's known of them and there's a fourth player. Eind is genuinely concerned about where this is going. Gardner's final theory? Veloci just lost his mind. Eind is just confused at this point, but he's still curious to find out the truth. Cut to the balcony where Fernan and Ludger are having a secret meeting. Turns out, Fernan was the mastermind who arranged this fateful meeting. Fernan explains that he used Veloci as a proxy to get Eind here. This dude is playing 4D chess with the whole academy and winning. He says they can't avoid each other forever, but Ludger knows there's a much deeper motive behind Fernan's generosity. Fernan notes that as a senior student, Eind can't brag about his royal blood to his face. He's effectively putting the main character in his place. Ludger asks for his impression, and Fernan just calls Eind boring and docile. He definitely didn't expect the hero to be such a pushover. The conversation shifts to Fernan's choice of date. Ludger is curious why he brought Luina Birchef of all people to a high society event. Fernan justifies it by pointing out her grades and lineage, but Ludger reminds him that he was the one blocking her membership before. Ludger asks if Fernan has a crush on her, given how close they've been lately. Fernan just gives a cryptic, who knows, with a smirk. Fernan bails on the conversation, leaving Ludger totally frustrated. This guy really hates being left in the dark like this. Back inside, Fernan is in full tactical mode. He's not here for the party, he's here to hunt demons. Luina is getting impatient with him though. Eind spots Luina from across the room and nervously calls out to her. This is the moment the prophecy predicted would happen. He tries to be casual, asking how she's been. He looks like a total nervous wreck in that fancy suit. Luina recognizes him immediately, and Fernan shows up right on cue to complete this very awkward triangle. Eind is flustered, accidentally introducing himself like he doesn't know who he is. Luina is just confused by his weird behavior. Fernan is suddenly there, asking where Luina has been. Eind tries to play it off like he was just getting some fresh air by himself. Fernan acts surprised that Eind and Luina are friends, but Eind quickly clarifies that they've only actually met once. They both simultaneously deny being friends. Ouch, that's a massive amount of emotional damage for our hero. Fernan's red eye glows through his mask as he watches Eind. He's analyzing every twitch and micro-expression for the prophecy. Eind thinks Fernan looks disappointed, while Fernan is busy confirming that everything is still on track with the future he saw. Fernan takes Luina's arm and tells her they need to talk. He's making sure his investment stays exactly where he can see her at all times. He dismisses Ain't with a polite, "Enjoy the banquet," and walks off with the girl. Talk about a total power move. Ain't watches them go, thinking they seem way too close for comfort. His jealousy is definitely starting to show. Gardner starts teasing him, asking if he dressed up just to impress Luina. Ain't is having a full-on chibi meltdown right now. He denies everything, but Gardner isn't buying it. The ghost is convinced he fell for her at first sight. Serious Vernon is back, warning Luina that things are about to get messy. He's expecting a demon attack at any second. Luina is shocked that the yacht might actually sink, but Vernon tells her to focus on the objective, capturing the demons alive. He reassures her that safety measures are in place for the other students. He's the only one who knows the full scale of the impending disaster. He knows there's a traitor in the academy, and this yacht party is the perfect bait to flush them out into the open. Meanwhile, Gardner is nagging Ain't to focus on the mission instead of staring at girls. Ain't is just done with the ghost's constant lectures. Ain't looks totally exhausted. He knows the ambush and the sinking are necessary steps in Vernon's plan to save the world. A servant approaches Ain't, asking if he's the army in air. Vernon's prophecy is unfolding exactly as it was described in his head. Vernon knows the demons are about to strike. He just needs to wait for the demonic energy to flare up so he can swoop in and save the day. The servant offers Ain't a drink with a very suspicious smile. Vernon realizes this is the point where the timeline starts to diverge. Gardner is still ranting about winning the war against demons. Ain't ignores him and accepts the drink from the creepy servant. He takes a sip, but something feels off almost immediately. He's starting to lose focus and his vision is blurring. Before he can even finish his question, someone screams his name. The trap has officially been sprung. A burst of purple magic slams into Ain't, throwing him off balance. The party is officially over for our protagonist. His glass shatters on the floor as total chaos erupts in the dining hall. The guests are all starting to panic. The servant suddenly lunges at him, his face twisted in a terrifying demonic grin. Ain't is caught completely off guard here. He gets slammed against the wall with enough force to crack the heavy wood. This employee is clearly not human at all. Ain't is struggling to breathe as the servant chokes him out. The demonic pressure in the air is becoming absolutely overwhelming. He manages to land a solid kick and push the attacker back, creating some much-needed breathing room for himself. Ain't prepares his aura, light magic flaring up all around him. He's not going to go down without a serious fight. They charge at each other, their respective energies colliding in a massive flash of light. Ain't is using every bit of his training to parry the servant's ferocious and erratic strikes. He stays alert, scanning for an opening in the servant's movements. The demonic aura in the room is getting stronger by the second. Ain't is totally stunned. He's never felt an aura this malicious and repulsive before. It's like pure, unfiltered evil is standing before him. The servant's eyes glow a piercing red through the thick shadows. The secret is out. There's a real demon on board this yacht. Ain't is horrified to realize an employee of the Pellenberg Guild is actually a monster in disguise. This is going to look bad for Fernan. Suddenly, the entire ship is rocked by a massive impact from below. It feels like they just hit something huge. Furniture and people are thrown around as the hull is ripped open. The yacht is going down fast into the dark water. Water starts flooding into the lower decks with a deafening roar. Total carnage has finally begun for everyone on board. Ain't is swept up in the rising tide, struggling to keep his head above water as the room fills up with the sea. A massive, tentacled monster looms over the sinking ship, its multiple mouths ready to feast. The real nightmare is just beginning.